absolutely. I think looking at the grid, anyone looking at the match 3 grid, it's Jotas to win or it's Jotas to lose. They're going. This is.
Fala galerinha, muito boa tarde, aqui quem tá falando com vocês é FRT Cyborg. A gente chegou aí mais uma vez para mais uma transmissão do ForzaRC. Opa, minha voz saiu um pouquinho alta aqui, deixa eu abaixar. E hoje a gente vai ter aí a quinta rodada aí do ForzaRC Invitational aí. Hoje a gente tem na pista RDE, FRF, RBR, hoje aí acho que as equipes mais fortes aí do ForzaRC vai estar participando hoje. Então eu conto aí com a presença e a ajuda de vocês para me ajudar a fazer essa transmissão hoje, né? E galerinha, vai ter mais alguns assuntos aí essa semana para vocês aí sobre o que está acontecendo na comunidade, galera. A gente está com um problema um pouco mais que sério dentro da comunidade Forza Motorsport aqui no Brasil e a gente precisa resolver isso daí, galera. Como eu ainda não sei, eu recebi algumas mensagens falando sobre o que os pilotos vem fazendo, alguns líderes de equipe, algumas atitudes que poderiam ser assim encaradas de outra maneira, entendeu? Então a gente vai tentar amenizar isso daí. Beleza, galerinha? Quem puder acompanhar a transmissão aí, tamo junto. A gente já tá voltando aí durante as corridas, a gente vai fazer os comentários aí pra vocês, beleza? É nóis, galerinha, a gente já volta já.
And you had mentioned, Mellish, prestige. How much is that their goal today?
They absolutely see themselves as a direct competition for Red Bull Racing. They can take the #1 spot. But for me, about Williams, it's mechanical knowledge.
And they're bringing a lot of horsepower today. They got more horsepower than any other team, Roadrunner, Mitch, and Seven. Yeah. But you have questions.
Well, you know, behind the scenes, talking to these drivers, massive collapse, disaster for them in the qualifying. They qualified, well, 2 seconds behind RBR. Nearly a second behind Sauber, so they're not in a good position. They're starting 3rd on the grid in this match.
The third team that we're going to be seeing here today on track is Sauber Esports, and this is experience, but a coach swap. Flip mode?
Couldn't ask for a better coach swap driver. Zimdog, a lot of experience here. Total on screen right there, 32 years. Watch Zoom's Bel Air today. He's got turbos on it.
I mean, this is the OG team, right? They've been going since Forza Motorsport 2, talking to Sauber as well, that Zoom is kind of like the more recent addition. The other 3 drivers know each other, but they just said that he fits right into that mixture, and it's playing out well for them.
Flip mode, you said earlier, your expectation from Zoom is what?
He's going to be up front. Can he catch Box? Okay. Box has got a fast car today, but it's Zoom. Watch Zoom. What can he do? Yeah.
Last but not least on the track here today, we are seeing Rise Motorsport. Mellish, how would you describe this combo of drivers?
They've been rocky. Great individual pace, but we need to see that teamwork. They got the most points last week. They did get a penalty, but they just need to work better as a team.
This team will be a last chance qualifier team. Yeah. It's another incredibly tough match for them. You touched on that penalty. They were supposed to serve that today. It's been a change. They will serve a 10-second applied to their previous match. So they're not have to worry about that today. That's been applied to the previous match.
And that does affect the series standings a little bit, but what's most important to take away from that was the fact that they bumped down a place, and now RDE are a point ahead of them in the series standings. That could play a big part in this.
Oh my goodness. The drama, I have a feeling, is going to be heating up, especially with these penalties. These guys, the teams, everyone is pushing for that same common goal, especially really getting into that LAN event, and that is actually the priority right now in this part of the season. But let's take it to the track. What kind of cars are we seeing today? I feel like I'm repping it with my shirt. We're going with that classic muscle cars. My friend Mellish.
I'm so out of place.
Pessoal, falando com vocês aí sobre os combos de hoje, olha só as peças que vão estar hoje na pista aí, né? Hoje a torcida é muito grande aí pela FRF, né? A FRF que tem um domínio muito grande nesses carros aí. A gente vai estar aqui na torcida. Eu acho que vai ser muito interessante a corrida de hoje. São carros aí bem mais lentos do que a gente costuma ver e são carros bem mais difíceis da gente controlar. Eu não sei como que é o esquema de PI, né, a potência que os pilotos vão poder colocar em cima desses carros aí, mas a gente vai estar estudando isso daí durante a corrida e vai estar falando para vocês, galera. Hoje a gente tem aí 9 carros diferentes, 9 Muscle Car, creio aí que são de divisões diferentes também, né? Não, Classic Muscle Car, os Muscle Car clássicos são da mesma divisão, todos os carros. E galera, creio que vai ser muito interessante ver as disputas de hoje, até porque, na minha opinião, uma classe mais baixa gera tipo um desconforto em alguns pilotos e também as disputas são muito mais acirradas. Como a maioria dos pilotos do ForzaRC são pilotos que andam praticamente no, assim, o nível como que eu posso dizer? O nível de pilotagem deles é muito pouco de diferença, entendeu? Então eles andam quase todos no mesmo segundo. Então as corridas vão ser muito acirradas hoje. Vai ser muito, muito legal assistir hoje aí o ForzaRC.
So for me, I am so stoked to go racing. So we know the cars, we know the drivers now as well today. It's time to get to know the tracks with my buddy, Ali Tack. What you got?
I'd let Andy take me on a date, I think. Sounds like a nice evening. We've got Sauber Esports, Rise Motorsport, Williams Esport, and Red Bull Racing Esports racing across 3 races in our first match of the day. That's Kota, Sonoma, and Homestead. Ali Tack with you right here, and it's a pleasure to be rejoined by Shay Adams. Shay, straight fresh from the Petit. How was it?
Yeah, it was good. Still getting the brake dust and whatnot out from under my nails, and you know, you get that octane boost in your soul. It just revitalizes you, Ali.
America this week.
America.
We're going straight in with muscle cars. What do you like out there on track?
In terms of the cars, I love the Camaro. That's just a soft spot for me. But it's not going to be the fastest thing we see out on track. Mellish mentioned a bathtub. Well, the Mercury, known as a lead sled, I don't think they're going to be very sluggish out there. But in terms of handling, a lot to be desired, particularly for the tracks we're going to.
All right, well, this week, just like Ron Swanson, we are not going to Europe. We're going to be going, first of all, to Kota, Shay. It's a great track.
Oh, it's wonderful. Circuit of the Americas, first built in 2012. That's the first time that they had a race on this track. The full circuit is 3.4 miles. Version that we're running is known as the West Route. It's only 2.3 miles. The full circuit, 20 turns. This one's 16. 8 laps of this track. We're basically cutting out turns 7 through 11, so no hairpin at the back end of the straight, and that's probably a good thing. It would take about 20 minutes to get there in these cars. But we still have the wonderful stadium section that runs around, very tight and twisty, technical. You can always blow the apex at turn 12. Then you've got the long, never-ending right-hand turn. That is turns 13, 14, and 15, at least on the complex that we're running today. It's normally 16, 17, and 18 if you're running the full circuit. You never think you're going to let your hands turn back from going right once again. You've got the tricky S's when you come out of turn 2, but the corners, for my money, it's going to be really hard to keep it on the track as you come through turn 19. There's a bump right about a meter off the apex. If you miss it by a little bit, you miss it by a mile, and you'll be driving straight off the racetrack, paying for admission to get back into the circuit before you can get through turn 20 and back onto that long front straight.
Okay, well, it's an uphill run towards the first corner, and so grid order is going to be all the more important. Before each race, every team is given 3 grid spots, which they can allocate strategically which driver they want to put in each place. So Red Bull, first of all, electing to put Box in pole position, but Asics in the mid-pack shade does have a boost.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to watch how all of this develops. Asics was the one driver that they didn't really help in terms of the performance index coming into the race, so they've made it a lot more even throughout everybody. But Box in the Plymouth Fury, he's going to have his work cut out for him, particularly with the cars starting alongside him and behind him.
Right, well, not appearing on the graphic just yet, but second place on this grid will be Sauber Esports. We've got Chemical in second, Zermatt in 6th, and way at the back there is Sauber Zoom.
And for me, the 2 people to watch out of this position is going to be Sauber Chemical. His love of cars is all about muscle cars. He's going to be the happiest kid on the planet in terms of what he gets to drive today. Sauber Zoom, though, in the Bel Air, starting in 10th, he has boost He's got the lightest car on the grid. He also has the least power, so he's going to have his work cut out for him. But Zoom should be somebody to keep an eye on in terms of gaining positions.
Well, our excellent analysts pointed it out earlier on, but third place on the grid, and perhaps slightly disappointed by it, will be the Williams esports team. They're electing to put Mitch up front this time round. Further back, though, Seven and Roadrunner might struggle.
And again, Mitch driving the Nova, so that is going to be a very good car. Also with boost, so he's going to be very strong in terms of how things are going. But Roadrunner, Williams RR, back in 11th place, the heaviest car in the Barracuda. But he's got the most power, Ali, so he should be able to make a lot of gains also, like we were just talking about with Zoom.
All right, well, Red Bull Racing, Sauber Esports, and Williams Esports choosing to use their boost in this first race. But this final team, Rise Motorsport, popping that thing in their top pocket and saying maybe we'll save that for later.
Yeah, why not just, keep it, hope it matures a little bit, collect some interest. Maybe you never know, might develop into some more boosts later on. But it's Renault, who's the interesting car. He's driving the Mercury. That's the car that has been given the most help by the team before the race even got started. They've elected to start him up in 4th. Renault might be leading this thing at the exit of turn 1. I wouldn't put it past him.
Well, there is a fascinating battle brewing at the front of this grid, Shay, and that's going to be between Sauber Chemical and Williams Mitch, two drivers who have very similar roles in their team.
Very much so, and you can see that demonstrated in the percentage of team points earned. Mitch has had an off week. Chemical has had an off week, but each of them has contributed slightly more than their own weight in terms of performance for the team, 37%. So that's a good amount of help given to the team. Chemical would have had more positions gained, but he's always starting at the front, Ali.
It's going to be a fascinating battle, second and third on this grid. Mitch coming into this race with the boost will have an advantage, surely. We can head trackside now and get on board here. Race number 1 of the day. We're running down towards turn 1 with Sauber Zoom, and that hopped up hot rod is absolutely flying up towards T1. A little bit of a moment up ahead, a big moment. Williams, Mitch with the spin around, and that's the driver we were highlighting before this race as somebody with a great chance of succeeding. Already, Shay, pointing backwards.
Ali, that's the danger of this track, particularly turn 1. There's about 30 different lines you can take through turn 1, and all of them will result in still going pretty quickly at the exit of it. Now, we're going through the S's. This is the part of the track where the cars will be rolling the most, but now they get relief as they dive off and turn to the left part of the track that's mostly used for testing. They'll come out on the back straight where they still have to make that very hard braking for the left-hander.
Beautiful move there from Sauber Zoom, who stuck it round the outside, stayed side by side all the way through the S's, pays dividends, a smooth line, we'll see him pass Roadrunner and up to 8th place. Let's keep in mind this driver started 10th on the grid, so Zoom already making up those 2 positions. It's jumping back 1 position though, now we're on board with Roadrunner.
But Chemical has lost a ton of positions. All right, he was driving the Nova, which we never expected to be the strongest cars, but for Sauber, their drivers in 7th and 8th right now. That is not a good points haul for that team.
Running through this long, multi-apexed right-hander. It's a hard place, and you can see the weight of the car, Williams Roadrunner, moving across the suspension as he goes through the left-rights here, getting attacked by RZM Chris, who's just behind him, but we're going to jump forward towards Zoom, who's still threatening, still trying to push his way forward. We've been following this story, Shay, for the whole first lap, and Zoom looking like a man on the move.
Zoom has done a really good job so far, 19 years old from Brazil. He's been at Forza for 5 years, and his favorite tracks, well, WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, and Bathurst. Coda is nothing like either of those, except for the fact that it requires a perfect precision to drive around, which you can say for Mount Panorama too. You need to be technically on point at Circuit of the Americas, so Zoom might be enjoying that a little bit. I'm shocked though that Chemical would not have been put in the strongest car as far as these muscle cars go, because he doesn't hide that at all. His favorite car, 1970 Chevelle, I mean, he's all about muscle cars.
Chemical loves these cars. Zoom, I don't want it to go without saying, that double overtake into turn 1 was just a lovely, just like a mummy used to make. We're going to hop up to Renault though. Let's check him out. He's just up there.
Comentando aí, galera, para quem chegou agora aí, né, brasileiro nessa primeira rodada aí do ForzaRC, a gente tem o Sauber Zoom, né? A gente vê aí que ele tá com um boost da equipe Sauber, né? Ele tá vindo aí até numa boa posição. Tá vindo na 5ª posição aí Sauber Zoom. E tem carro aí para buscar melhores posições, galera. Sauber Zoom aí que vem de uma ótima temporada aí no ForzaRC. Esses carros são extremamente feios, né? A gente vê. E na minha opinião, por hora aí, o design que mais caiu bem, combinou aí com o carro, foi o design da Sauber, né? A gente tá vendo ali o carro do Zoom, tá muito bem pintado. O carro da RZM aí, né? Um laranja com marrom com preto em cima do fosco. Eu particularmente não achei legal. A gente tá vendo aí o RZM Reynolds, né? William Seven aí, né? Que era levou muito tempo aí a equipe BAN nas costas, né? Tá aí o Seven também, né? A gente vê que o Reynolds tá partindo para cima dele aí, mas não tá tendo assim um grande desenrolar legal aí, né? A gente vê que alguns pilotos aí já abriram uma vantagem muito grande. O primeiro e segundo, principalmente ali, o primeiro disparou, o segundo também abriu uma vantagem legal. E o Zoom tá vindo para cima do Reynolds aí. Creio que o Zoom pega aí a 3ª posição. Opa, Reynolds aí forçou um pouquinho, né? Conseguiu se manter na frente, mas o Zoom tem muito mais carro, galera, para estar à frente aí do Reynolds e creio também que do Seven. Essa primeira bateria aí, creio que o Zoom vai assumir aí a 3ª posição devido ao boost que ele tá no carro, né? Sabendo que não é os melhores carros para se andar. O circuito das Américas é um circuito bem complexo, tem curvas totalmente traiçoeiras aí que se o piloto não tiver uma boa noção, ele não consegue ter um bom desenvolvimento, né? E a gente vê que o Zoom tá vindo para cima aí do Reynolds agora. Tá partindo para cima, tá tendo um pouquinho de dificuldade para fazer a ultrapassagem, ele tá até mais rápido, a gente vê que ele vem dando uns toques aí, mas o carro do Reynolds parece ter um pouquinho mais de estabilidade aí nas curvas, e o Zoom tá vindo para cima. E aí, povo, boa tarde Marcelo Manzini, seja bem-vindo, Francisco Maverick, Douglas Ribeiro, a gente tá aí. Eu abri a transmissão agora em cima da hora. Eu não ia fazer a transmissão do RC hoje. Não ia fazer. Eu tenho um compromisso daqui a pouco. Eu não sei não se eu vou conseguir terminar a transmissão hoje. Mas, né, tamo aí. Enquanto a gente puder, a gente vai fazer a transmissão. Enquanto isso, Sauber Zoom mostrando aí o replay da ultrapassagem aí do Sauber Zoom e o toque do Chemical no Mitch, né? A gente viu que o Mitch rodou ali e perdeu bastante. E com esses carros aí é quase impossível recuperar as posições. Rod Runner vem aí numa 12ª posição. Rod Runner, que é um grande piloto também, não está tendo um bom desenvolvimento. O Zoom está tendo muita dificuldade aí para fazer a ultrapassagem em cima do piloto da RZM, cara. A gente vê, agora o Zoom conseguiu colocar aí do lado, conseguiu sair, mas o Mitch tá voltando com força aí pra cima do Zoom. Mitch que também tá com o boost, galera. O Mitch que também tá com o boost, tá vindo aí de Chevy nova e creio que o Mitch vai pra cima desse pessoal aí também. Atrás do Mitch aí a gente vê na 7ª posição, vem vindo mais um piloto da Sauber também. Os pilotos da Sauber aí, toda aí 4ª, 6ª e 7ª posição, se eu não me engano. Não, é o Chemical que tava aí. E bora pra cima. Vamos sim, vou almoçar agora, já tô lá. Tá certo, isso aí o pessoal combinando aí a jogatina do sábado à tarde. Lembrando, pessoal, que hoje à noite aí tô preparando um for fun pra vocês aí. Daqui a pouquinho eu vou estar postando aí no grupo do Eventos Forza lá. E nos demais grupos aí de WhatsApp e também no Facebook. Eu vou estar postando. Eu ia fazer um for funzinho de GT, entendeu? Com a Lamborghini lá. Mas alguns pilotos, né, não curtiram aí a ideia, então a gente vai colocar algo diferente aí, algo que o pessoal anda muito pouco dentro da comunidade.
P12. Venom is dead last, which means he scores 0 points if he stays where it is. So yes, great job for Box and for Essex filling in for Lage. Remember, no slouch in his own right, but it doesn't help them that their weakest link right now is getting 0 points.
See Venom there in the bottom right of our screen, and well, surely something happening in the early part of Venom's race that we missed on camera to disadvantage him like this. We see him way back in 12th position and trying to fight his way forward. It's going to be a difficult race, I think, for Venom, who at least can take some pride and some happiness in being part of a great team result if things end as they do.
Yeah, but Ali, I'm very disappointed with this. Venom did get some PI, some performance enhancement effectively for this week, and Venom is the driver that we were really leaning on to step up, because we already know that Box is great, that he is capable of being the best driver on the team, but Venom has been the one at the short end of the stick every week so far. We can see damage to the rear right of Venom's car, but the young American kid has not been given an opportunity yet to shine. I was really hoping it was going to be this week, and at least not for race 1. That's not the case.
Venom, one of 3 drivers in this race, running the 1969 Chevy Camaro. It's going to be Venom chasing, I think, a few of the other Camaros at the back of this pack, so we can maybe take a little bit of a pattern from this. Certainly RZM Kriz, running just ahead of Venom, is also in the same car. And then we've got Zimdog running in 10th place, also running in the Camaro. So the Camaro, a tough run here at COTA, might come good in the later races when we get a little bit more straight line speed.
Yeah, I'm expecting the Camaro to be much stronger, particularly in Homestead. That's a place with a lot of long straights as opposed to COTA, which only really has the one long straight for the Camaro to stretch its legs. But COTA's, this portion of track, way more important to have a good car through the turns. And there's a couple of people who have been questioning the fact that the Mercury can't turn very well. Well, keep in mind, this is a car that was built in 1949. It was first developed in the late 30s. So you're talking about a car that's not meant to turn well. Don't sweat it. It'll have an opportunity to shine.
All right, we're going to hop on board with Williams Mitch here, who's been running a boost Shay throughout this race and taps his teammate there. You can ill afford those clumsy moments in this race. You can see Mitch pulling straight past his teammate. Shay, it surely shows the power of boosts, which we haven't really talked about yet.
That's what I would say for that contact between the Williams teammates. Yeah, the power of boost. You can take a car that is meh and turn it into a car that is great. And that is why everybody is chomping over the opportunity to have a boost, to run a boost, and to have the boost run on them instead of their teammates.
And boosts, these single-use upgrade packs, you can see them with the little lightning bolt next to Mitch's name that points out that he's running one here. And they're single use, so a coach has to give them out strategically to his teammates.
Yeah, you want to try and give your boost out at the best possible opportunity to make the most overtakes, to perhaps get an opportunity to get another boost, because they do sort of work like that. It's a bit like Pokemon cards, Ali. Once you collect one, you want to keep collecting them. You got to get them all. That's what these coaches want from their boosts.
All right, well, one driver who seems bound to collect another boost at the end of this race is Sauber Zoom, starting the race in 10th position. He's up to 3rd now.
No way, up to 3rd. So that's +7 for Sauber Zoom. The other car that we thought would be impressive was Williams RR. He has not gained 7 positions. So Zoom right now, with the boost upgrade, looking good to maintain that status going into the next round.
That's right, both Zoom and RR starting 10th and 11th on the grid. And, well, the driver with the most overtakes at the end of the race earns a boost for his team. So earns the team another bite of the apple, another opportunity to favor one driver. And right now, Zoom looking like he's doing a great job of that. Up ahead of Zoom, though, another team doing a great job are Red Bull Racing. Box and Asics holding steady in 1 and 2, Shay. And really, no one's touched in this race.
No, they've been running a race of their own, a very lonely race. They might be a little bit sad about that. They haven't had anybody to play with all day so far, Ali, but nah, they're racing drivers. They just want to come home with the win. See how long that right-hander lasts? It just never seems to give up. But when you think you're finally all the way through it, then you've got to get the car set up for the left-hander through 19, and then another left-hander through 20. This track doesn't really give you an opportunity to rest.
Such an amazing circuit here at COTA. Amazing to think it's constructed only in 2012, already a classic of the motorsport circuit. We can hop back with Williams Roadrunner, though, who's in the wars, in the battle, and trying to make up some quick positions before this race finishes. Right now in 9th, but he can see all the way up to 5th.
Look at how damaged the back of his car is, though, Ali. It looks like a big fluffy cat has come along and just used it as a scratch box. That's quite an intensive race so far for Williams RR, who, if he does this properly, this is his last lap, so he's only got one more opportunity. He doesn't need to make the move through turn 1. He can wait and do it through 4.
Well, he does need to make the move this lap, though. We're going to run out of corners for Roadrunner soon enough, and he's looking forward at RZM Chris. You can see over Chris's head there, 5.25 seconds of penalties for RZM Chris. So we can expect for Chris to sink back through this field after the race with the FRR penalties.
I was expecting Williams RR to make the move just back there before they turned through what's effectively the shortcut of the circuit, cutting out the long bits, but no, he was too far back to have an opportunity. He can still make a dive down at the end of this braking zone, but no, still too far back.
Well, Roadrunner, I think, will hold back here. I think if he hadn't got past Chris already, he would need to overtake Chemical to really make this matter on track. We can hop up to the leaders, though, who already are approaching the end of this race. Box for the final time, exiting that long right-hander, and only 2 corners separate him from the checkered flag. Box with a stunning performance here, Shay.
And look at how clean his car is. There's not a scratch on it. That will not need to go to the paint shop for a little bit of TLC before the next round. Congratulations, Box, winner of race 1.
Well, Red Bull's strategy seems to be paying off, with Box taking the victory, and then behind him, Asics will roll across the line in 2nd place. Further down the field, Sauber Esports will be left scratching their heads a little bit, I think, Shay, saying, how can we beat Red Bull? You know, they've done great, but how can we beat Red Bull in the following races?
Well, again, I'm just stunned at the lack of performance from Chemical, because this is his sandbox. This is where he plays.
Chegou aí, galera, o final aí, a primeira bateria aí do ForzaRC da primeira rodada aí, né? A gente viu que o Box, né, se destacou bastante aí. A gente viu que Sauber Zoom teve um pouquinho de dificuldade ali para fazer algumas ultrapassagens, mas já a gente vai mostrar aí para vocês na tela aí o resultado, como que ficou aí, quanto que cada piloto pontuou. Lembrando que o Sauber Zoom ele tinha tipo uma carga de pontuar um pouquinho melhor. É um piloto que estava com boost e é um piloto brasileiro aí representando, né, o Brasil no RC. Deixar o pessoal falar aí enquanto eu tô acertando algumas coisas aí. Tamo junto, galerinha. Muito obrigado aí, pessoal que tá assistindo. Deixa o like aí que já a gente tá de volta.
Well, a straight out street fight sounds pretty good in muscle cars to me. What did you make of that first race, Kate?
I'd say that T1, that turn 1 crash definitely dictated an outcome for some of them. Mellish, Flip Mode, what'd you think?
It absolutely did. You got that right, Kate. There was a huge crash there. These guys just coming together. There's not a lot of space for these big American muscle cars, but it definitely dictated the way that, you know, Sauber played out their strategy. It didn't work out. It saw Chemical fall down the pack. Mitch also fall down the pack. Renault did pretty well to hold on to that, but I want to see that in replay because I couldn't quite make out like how that went down. It looked pretty hectic.
I don't think we had the best angle, but I think we're going to get what we have here. This is turn 1 coming uphill, and it sure looks to me like Mitch comes across at least 2 to 3 lanes, no blinker, and
I think he's getting tagged by Chemical though. He can't move, he can't steer the car, he's getting tagged, and the other guys behind him are just pushing their way through. Typical Forza style. You know, Mitch is all the way around, so great job for Mitch, because I think he finished 4th, so he came back through the pack. That's a great job for Mitch after getting spun round in turn 1.
boy, I'm glad I'm not in the adjudication booth on this one.
Yeah, but what a job from Red Bull though.
Yeah, this is the reason why Red Bulls finished 1 and 2. That's all it took. Asics gets through, 1-2, clear shot. They get 35 points.
You know, that was one of the talking points, right? That as we are continuously watching Red Bull today, and how this Lage not being here, how it might impact them. How did you feel?
I actually felt that Asics made the most of a really bad opportunity for a bad situation for a lot of drivers, and it worked out.
Yeah.
They gave him the boost, so he had the pace to stay away. Once he got away, it worked for them. 35 points. They won't get any extra because I think Venom finished last, but I don't think they're actually upset by that one bit. 35 points from your first race, and Lage isn't there.
You know, Rossi said, great points haul from Red Bull. And I think when other competitors and other teams are seeing this too, I think that's something to take note of, that people are seeing that they can handle it regardless.
Remember, they came in 60 points they needed today. They already got 35.
I know, and you got to ask this question. You know, these teams have been given a drop round, right? Are RBR actually going to use theirs? You know what I mean? Like, are they going to lose out on like 4 points because they just keep scoring plus 80 points every round?
They don't need one.
Crazy.
The only team who doesn't need one right now.
Yeah.
You know, obviously one guy that we are keeping eyes on all day is Box, and he made another. He yet again showed that he is out to prove one thing and another thing and another thing, time after time.
Yeah, the fastest car coming into the race. Pipped pole, and then Asics with the boost. Works out perfectly, gets second place.
Well, this was Williams' concern. They knew what Box had under that hood. Once they did qualifying and he was so fast, much faster than the rest, they knew that he was going to take the win. So, you know, how did Williams' strategy play out there? They obviously got involved in that incident, but they had really good results there. 7. First time we've seen 7 in a podium position there, and he conceded to his teammates. A great teamwork there from Williams also.
Yeah, I think provisionally 4th, 5th, and 9th for Williams.
You know, I thought that was kind of funny as we were also watching that mid-pack racing, and there was true racing. You even said, this is racing. This is it, and we're seeing that. Craviator, I appreciated your "Let's Go Doc Hudson" on there. I love the little Cars reference as these classics are running around the track. But I think that is something to note, that mid-pack racing and how that plays into the greater season right now, as these guys are all trying to get the little points. It's not just winning anymore that's important as these guys are making their way, especially as we'll see later on in the next match, but it's about points.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, the way that we see these builds, we saw last week, a lot went for the Alpha build, stuck it in the Elite Factory races, nearly all the teams did. They've actually kind of like spread out this time a little bit, and that's played into the strategy. We see Sauber, they've gone 10 in one car, 10 in another car. They're playing that high percentage game, try and get 2 high to mid-tier results, and then get 1 maybe weak result. We saw Zoom provisionally get the Hard Charger award.
Yeah.
He made it through the pack there. Great job from him, but apart from that, you think Sauber didn't do a very good job.
I mean, if I was Sauber, why not put Zoom further up the field? If you know he's got a fast car, and I get the Hard Charger, but they almost lost it.
Yeah, but they're playing the long game. They got 3 races, not 1 race.
There's too much risk in turn 1, and sure enough, everyone knows that turn. It's way too tight, 12 cars, 12 big cars.
True. And you know, and we may see Zoom being put up further up the field now that he's got that Hard Charger award, or they may just continue to use him for that Hard Charger award. So that could be something they use as well.
You know, Ali asked a question there at the end, and you know, how do we beat Red Bull? This is probably what some of these teams are thinking right now. How do we beat Red Bull? How do you do it?
Standing quarter mile. The good old American way. I'm adopted American culture.
Yeah, look at you go.
No, forget matches, just straight line at the lights. I reckon that's how you beat Red Bull.
What do you think?
2 boosts? Everyone gets a boost?
Well, this was an interesting point, was the fact that Williams said that even when they gave Mitch the boost, he still was slower than Box. That's how good Red Bull's mechanics have been so far.
Yeah, Manteo Max on Twitch right now is saying, can anybody beat Box? Well, we have seen it. You know, it's been done.
It's happened.
It has been done, but it's a big question. And also, it's all Funk Metal. You're joining our fun here on Twitch. I saw you asking some questions. Thanks for that. Of course, a couple of people jumped in there and said, you know, thank you for asking your questions. Of course, we're all one big community to answer them. So keep them coming. If you don't know, you know, what boost means, you know, we'll happily jump in there and help explain as well. One question that he did have are all 3 classes the same, or are they running in groups with these particular cars as well?
That's a good question. I think in most cases, each class needs to be racing against each other. Yeah. It's not necessarily the first across the line. There are 3 different divisions. If you win your division, I think that's a win.
Okay, yeah, I get that, but it's also as well the divisions are not just set up by the cars that they run, but also by how they allocate the points.
Sure.
I think each division of car brings something different to each track. So you're not always going to see the first car. Well, we have done so far because the way that they've spent the points, but you can expect to see different cars take podium finishes in each race.
So points, just maybe we take a step back. Points equals performance index, or PI.
Yeah.
Sure.
Each team is given 20 PI.
Yeah.
Basically, PI building their car. They add parts. So how they add those parts or who gets those parts is important.
And what's really interesting about Classic Muscle is that what we've seen in the LMP versus IndyCar, there are very minimal variations of the builds that you can have. But when it comes to Classic Muscle, there's so many parts you can put on the car before you start spending that extra 20 PI. This is the first time we've not seen a duplicate build. Not one person is running the same build as another team.
Yeah, this was the hardest week for sure for the teams to prepare for this week. And we said it earlier on, Williams almost handcuffed themselves with their build once they saw Box's time.
And having that kind of challenge at this point in the season it's tough. But yeah, well, we provisionally know what we think the results are. But I think it's important as we talk about these points to really see them come into play here as we continue working towards that $250,000.
I love that screen. I love it.
No penalties.
No penalties, but look at that. Asics in second. His debut performance, he's getting 15 points. That is massive for him. Great job for Zoom to making it all the way up back through the pack. But look at Williams. They knew they were going to come into this match struggling, and they got 4th, 5th, and 7th. That's great mid-tier results.
I want to know if coaching. I mean, we talked to Asics. I remember was it week 2. I had a chat with him in the show twice, and I would be curious to know if coaching actually has helped him be a better driver. As you can see here, points gained, Zoom,
hard charger, and that's what their strategy came in. I guess I was wrong. They put him on the grid at 10th, and he did his job, and he did it with the boost. So he's the guy who had the boost. It actually worked out. I was a little worried after turn 1. You had to be, but Andy, I think
Andy, it's okay to be wrong.
But
I do want to point out as well that RZM there, right at the bottom. This is the battle for the bubble. They're fighting for that 7th spot. They're 10th, 11th, and 12th. Did you not see that at the bottom? That is all RZM. They're gonna get the perfect form. So they're gonna get 2 boosts by no intention or like that's not what they intended to do.
That's not how you want to get it.
But that's 3 points. 3 points from your first race, 35 points from RBR, 3 points from Red Bull.
We knew this was going to be a tough match, but hopefully 3 points, you get better than that.
That's a lot. It's a long climb.
You know who loves that? THR, FRF, RDE.
Yeah.
This is helping other teams. Other teams are like watching this, rubbing their hands together because, Rise have got the pace there. But like I said, there's just no teamwork. There's just no teamwork.
Well, and I think, and that goes back to, we talk about this idea that 32 years of experience, right, and how that can pay off for one particular team. We talk about, Rise at the beginning and what kind of combination of drivers those are, and it's an eclectic hodgepodge group of drivers.
Yep.
Does that help these teams, especially now that this is a really team-dominant series right now? Does it help to have that experience? Is it about that experience? How much of that experience plays into the greater good?
I mean, looking at this championship has really opened up the conversations about, the coach roles, the team dynamics. There has to be friendship there. I think that's a key ingredient, as well as kind of being able to communicate with each other. A lot of teams just don't do that.
Yeah, well, I think Red Bull Racing is obviously communicating in some sort of way, as we know that the final race results have been announced. The match.
That's a big 3 points right there.
Yeah, that's a bad tattoo right there. You can't get rid of that one. Race 1, RZM, or Rise, just move on.
But how close is it between the 2 teams in the middle? Williams Esports and Sauber, we said it was a battle of the Titans. They're 1 point difference going into race 2. RBR looks set to take it, 38 points.
And guys, that's what I was talking about, that mid-pack racing.
Yeah.
That's why this is so important, because right now, this could go either way for both of them.
Yeah, it's going to be a boxing match. I mean, this is going to come down. This is 1 point now, and it's going to be 2 points, maybe even 1 point when this is all over.
Yeah. So going into this, you should know as well that Williams Esports, they knew that Kota was the weakest link. They knew that they would get absolutely dominated there. It's only going to get better for Williams Esports. The question for me is, can they take the top spot?
Here's another question. Thanks, Shaggy SoCal. You're saying that maybe Red Bull's strategy is that Venom is to pick up any of those points that other teams have left out on the table. You know, obviously, like trying to snag and grab and
that's a big key strategy. If you're not going to give any of your points to one driver, you just expect him to pick up the scraps, because we've seen in every race there's been casualties and collateral damage. Your job as that third driver is to pick up as many points. What they didn't envisage was Asics making it all the way through in one corner. Yeah. That's what he did. He made it through in one corner, so that's 35 points. I feel like that's a bonus, but that's not any question of... Asics kept it. He maintained it after 8 laps.
They lucked out, too, though. Venom crossed the line provisionally in last.
I know. Oh,
and then ends up in 9th.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you, RZM.
3 points. Yeah, thank you, RZM. Exactly.
Is there anything else that kind of surprised you guys in that race, and or anything that we are going to look forward to here coming up in Sonoma?
I thought those cars would be difficult to drive. They looked very difficult to drive at Kota. The curbs looked treacherous for some of those builds.
Kota is well known for treacherous curbs. I think they got Sonoma and Homestead in this match. They don't have to deal with that anymore. The Mercury Coupe, we're only going to see more of that Mercury Coupe because it's best. All it has is Axel, OP acceleration. Homestead is just perfect grounds for that.
Yeah.
Well, it's time to go racing again, and this is at one of the most iconic, beautiful. Mr. Ali Tak, have you been to Sonoma Raceway yet? Is this a place you've gotten to visit in the great land of the USA?
Only in my Forza dreams, Kate, sadly. We do, though, have basically a native of Sonoma right here.
What? No, wrong coast, buddy.
Which coast is it? Where are we? All on the west?
We are on the west coast. Sonoma is north of us, right? It's in Napa Valley. I'm from the east coast. Don't worry, we'll get you a map. It's all good.
And that's
we'll figure it
perpendicular
out.
to the circumference of the...
The next one is
Yeah.
my home track. The
Okay.
next one we're all good at. But first we get to go to Sonoma, where they have sheep that live in the infield, which is really cool.
Check it out. Let's check it out.
This track, which is home to some of the greatest teams in motorsport. I'm thinking about you guys, Flying Lizard, out there. We're running the short circuit. It is only 2 miles long, but a lot of action packed in there. You've got 12 turns. We've got 11 laps. So turn 1, you can go off the track at turn 1. You will run off through the dust and kick up a lot of debris that you're then breathing, which not desirable. But then 3 and 3A, you can use the grass and a little bit of that off-road feature. I mean, the sheep are going to be mad at you if you run over their grass, but that actually will help turn the car a bit more. This track, though, is a place where you get punished because there are walls. You're going to hit them, and you're going to hit them hard.
It's an awesome circuit. I'm just a simple southern caster.
Oh, no. No.
I found this circuit to be quite bumpy, Shay. Quite ridiculously bumpy.
Well, I'm going to ignore your accent there. Sonoma, which is also known for drag racing, so it will be a bit more familiar to some of these cars that are purpose-built to go straight very fast. And, you know, the analysts over there were talking about how do you beat box, and they think a straight line fight. Well, we know one driver who can beat box. He's just not here today.
Just happens to be. Mr. Leisure might be able to give him a run for his money. You're quite right. We have got some interesting battles out there on track, though. And one of them is Zoom and a gentleman partly known as RR, but also known as Roadrunner.
Yeah, because it was Zoom who was starring in that first race, 19 years old from Brazil, who has only gotten a quarter of the points for the Williams team. So less of a contributor to the team than Williams RR, who has won races. He has been pivotal to Williams. 45% of the total points earned for the team have come from RR. So we look at the positions gained, a lot of help going to Zoom's cause in that last race. Both of those team members, though, electing to start at the back, or at least the coaches electing to start the team members at the back and then try to earn their way forward. Wonder if we're going to see the same thing again for this next race.
Well, that's exactly it. We've got an interest. This is why this matchup's so interesting, because the two of those drivers have exactly the same role within their team.
Yeah.
And Zoom did such a great job in race number 1. You got to think he's going to be able to repeat that here at Sonoma.
Well, and it's interesting too, just to consider the type of cars that each are in, because they are actually in different divisions. Zoom is in the fastest cars, at least we expect that from him.
Right.
But RR, he was kind of set out a little bit. You know, you sent him out in the CUDA, which in itself is a wicked car, and I don't understand why it's not the fastest thing out there, because I would put all my points towards it. I would make it just a rocket ship. But we didn't see him race to the front as easily as Zoom did. So is any help going to be given, or any of the bonuses going to be shifted towards those teams? Well, not in this one, because they don't really have them to play with.
Well, I'm fascinated by the strategic battle. I'm also interested now, though, in why you like the CUDA so much. What's so good about a Plymouth?
What is not good about a Plymouth? Okay, so in the historic road racing division, you've got 1971 Plymouth CUDA, which has stock, by the way, 426 Hemi engine. And anytime you get a Hemi, you're going to have a good car. You've got the 1969 Chevy Camaro SS, which, again, you've got a normally aspirated 6.5-liter V8 engine, hubba hubba, and then the Ford Mustang. So you've got 3 fantastic cars to choose between, and yet you wouldn't take a Plymouth just because of the name.
Don't look at me. Let's look at the grid instead of me. Because right now, this is cubic inches, all this kind of stuff. No idea what you're talking about. Might as well be French. Here we are with Box taking that pole position spot, though, for Red Bull Racing. No boost for this team.
No boosts at all. So Box is going to have to earn it on straight line speed as far as it goes and keep it clean going into turn 1 at Sonoma. That's going to be pretty entertaining to keep an eye on. Asics in 5th position, and then Venom again back at 9th. I want to see Venom climb up through the field. Come on, dude, you can do it.
Second place on the grid. It's going to be the Williams team. We've got Mitch up there on that front row of the grid. Again, no boosts, leaving themselves wide open, the Red Bull Racing team and the Williams team here at Sonoma.
And 7 is going to be the one to really watch for the Williams team in this race, because starting in the 6th position, he can either go forward or he can go back. It all depends on how clean he stays.
The more you know. We've got Salva Chemical in 3rd place on this grid, and that's fascinating to me because Chemical, sitting right behind those two leaders in Box and Mitch,
Yeah.
it's got a car that's charged up with lightning.
Yeah, but Sauber Chemical did not get a great start in the last race. He started in the second space and just went backwards. So
Right.
can Chemical keep his position, or can Zoom come from 11th this time to get up to third once again?
All right, and the final team out there on the grid is going to be Rise Motorsports, and this is fascinating.
Yeah.
Because if you look at those 3 little boxes next to those cars, they have assigned no boosts for this race, and that leaves them 3 going into the final race.
That's saving all your ducks for Homestead, which is never a bad option because Homestead Miami Speedway, a lot of long straights, a lot of opportunities to pass people. I like what they've done with this one, but still, Renault starting in that 4th position, he is going to be somebody who could put on a hard charge at the start of the race, just assuming he doesn't get tangled up in a first round, first turn, first lap, first everything accident once again.
I love that phrase, saving all your ducks for Homestead. It's now going to be part of my vocabulary. Let's get back out there on track for Sonoma. We're on board with one of the Rise drivers right at the back of this grid. It's going to be Chris, who's looking forward to try and make a move. You can see Zoom and Roadrunner there side by side, up in the run towards T2. Zoom's going to take that line wide on the way in, power out, and you know he's going to have that 10th position. Chris still sitting here in 12th without a reasonable look at moving forward in this field. Up ahead at the head of this pack, once the ticker turns around for us, we can see it's going to be Box who's in the lead of this thing, with Williams Mitch in second, and Sauber Chemical, that driver we've all got our eyes on because he's all boosted up, he wants the win, is sitting in 3rd.
But Renault, who went well off the circuit through green grass. I've never seen green grass at Sonoma before. It's always just very dusty every time I've been there. As they're coming around to nearly complete the first lap already, they're about 2/3 of the way through. There was a lot of off-roading, there was a lot of bumping and banging going on in the mid to back of this field. A lot of people are going to be pretty miffed, but Zoom has not been able to make the great start that he did last time. He's still fighting back with Renault for 9th and 8th positions.
Yeah, Zoom in that Bel Air, suddenly looking like a very, very heavy duck in the wrong kind of water. He's not looking strong.
He's not looking like a duck. He's looking more like a goose right now, Ali, because he's not going anywhere fast. He's sitting on the nest. As they come through that last turn, that hairpin turn, now they're on a bit of the drag strip as they come through and cross the start-finish line. Sonoma Raceway, which has played host to the IndyCar finale for many, many years leading up to this year, also where the NASCAR still get to go and turn right and left for a little while. It's a really fun track.
This first sector is an interesting challenge with these kind of very deep bumps. It must be a very sort of mountainous area of the world, or at least very undulating.
Yeah, very hilly as Napa Valley is known to be. You see the mountains off in the background, and that's sort of the theory of everything. Northern California, you got a lot of plate tectonic activity, not dissimilar to where we're sitting right now in Los Angeles, but still, it's an area that's been much more affected by the San Andreas Fault. And so we get all of this beautiful up and down, right and left that has created Sonoma Raceway.
Zoom still fighting for 8th position here with Renault. These big old hot rod revival division cars, they're heavy, they're powerful, and they are ill-suited to a twisty, undulating circuit such as Sonoma. You can see them all just fighting with the weight of the car, fighting with the weight transfer of the car as well, Shane.
Yeah, because these cars don't like turning. They don't like slow turns, but they really don't like high-speed turns because then there's less chance to grip. There's less chance to make an opportunity for a pass. Asics is actually fighting with somebody. Oh, I love this. RZM Chris is trying to get the 5th position away from Asics, who had a very uneventful race number 1. Now Chris has come under attack from Williams 7. This is a great battle.
So it's one of those battles that's fun when you're in it, but it's also deeply frustrating when you want to be going up forward through the pack. You can't get into a corner without a car coming up side by side with you. You can't get left and right. So, I mean, when you're sitting inside that cockpit, it's something which has sort of multiple feelings.
For sure. The ideal situation for everybody out there is box. You're out there, you're on your own, you're driving your lines, you're hitting your apex, you're just going along. And that is what everybody wants to do. Look at his car. Perfect. Again, you won't need a new paint job on that thing before we go to the next round at Homestead. But that gets boring after a while, Atlee. You like sticking the elbows out. You like having someone to battle with. Because anybody can run laps around by themselves. It's getting in a room with a bunch of your friends that makes life better.
That's right. That's what makes Forza Motorsport so much fun to get some cars out on track with. Let's hop back to Williams Mitch, who's in 2nd place. He's got a little bit of space of his own isn't that close right now to Chemical, who we thought would be doing maybe a little bit better. I'm quietly disappointed by Chemical.
I'm very pleased with what Chemical's been able to do so far in this race, because he's in the Nova, not the strongest classic cars. He's in the classic street muscle division of cars. So for what he's been able to achieve so far, I'm good with it. Mitch, though, is also in the Nova, and he's up in second instead of third. So Chemical may be getting a little bit of the short end of the stick in terms of where he was started for this race. But I'm still pleased with what he's been able to do, especially since Zoom was the one we were talking about the last race. Williams Mitch, though, notice how the left-hand side just by his taillight with a big dent in it? Same thing on Chemical. They've both been in the wars on the left side of their cars.
Both of these cars getting bumped into in the early part of this race. Chemical, the driver we've been discussing here, somebody who shone so brightly the last time we were out. We'll see a replay of the start of the race here on board with Red Bull Racing's. Oh, that's a big old bump there. That's Asics really clouting somebody at the top of the hill.
It was Renault.
It was Renault.
Yeah.
And taking a clout himself, I think, from one of the larger Hot Rod Revival cars there in the second corner. There's no small accidents in heavy cars, are there?
No, never. But I do like the symmetry of that an RZM car got knocked off the track, and then an RZM car came in and knocked off the knocker of the car off the track.
That's right, get some sweet revenge.
Yeah.
It looked like there was a third car involved in that moment with Asics, just looking at the replay from the second angle there. So not necessarily going to place all the blame in one place. Fortunately, not my job anyway. I've got an adjudication team to look at that stuff. Wow, Zoom really got pushed around there in this early part of the race. All these cars, we can see the scratches, see the bumps on their bumpers, and see the little nicks and areas where they're getting hit, and it shows here in the later race just how active and punchy they are. Wow, Venom there looking very insistent through turn 1.
Now, Venom finished the last race 9th on the scoreboard. He was 12th on the track. I like seeing him up in the 9th spot, but again, Allie, we talked about this in the last race. Venom is a guy, 21 years old from Illinois. He's used to not being the best, and he's used to not being the second best. I'm not expecting him to be that far down the grid because Venom has an opportunity. You've got your coach filling in this week. Come on, buddy. You're better than your coach, right?
We have got a great battle up the field here. That's Zimdog, the guy formerly known as Zermatt, holding 4th position but taking so much pressure from Red Bull Racing's Asics, who's just leaning on his rear bumper here. You can see behind them, not too far at all, is RZM Chris, who's running in 6th place, excuse me. And I get the feeling that if these two drivers get into each other, if they start really pushing each other, we could have Chris in this battle in no time at all.
Yeah, and especially if they start doing what they're doing right there, going side to side battling, taking the air off of one another. Now, you might be thinking, aerodynamics on these cars? Surely not, they're just large tanks. Well, look at Chris. He's saying, hey, they're slowing each other up. I'm going to come in and play too. I do like Zimdog in that Camaro, though. That's a beautiful livery on the side of the car. Is that a look down the inside? Nope, going to put him on the wrong side for the next turn. Can he get it done?
Ooh, big crash there with Zimdog catching the rear of Asics, who slides across the second corner. RZM Chris, just as we were saying, up in the action now. All it took was one mistake, and Chris with the double overtake. Asics wants to come back as well, and this battle lighting on fire here on lap 6 of 11. Chris off the track, siphons back in with Sauber. Zoom now getting in on the action, and Zoom up to 5th place. Sauber, wow, locking out that 5th and 6th space of this battle here, Shay. Nuts.
For now, if RZM Chris has anything to say about it, the young Frenchman who's looking at the back of this battle going, hey, no, I would like to pass all of you and just keep going. But that was coach-on-coach action. A Zimdog and Asics were fighting there, Ellie. These are two guys who are racing for the first time this weekend, and they're getting right into each other.
You're so right. Two drivers who maybe aren't as experienced at ForzaRC racing this year, both bringing a lot of experience onto the table with them, but not fresh experience. Zimdog there getting a little caught out with Chris, and that's going to allow Renault the run down towards the final turn here. Whoa. And up the inside, Zimdog collecting the rear of RZM Chris, and really getting very punchy now as we push up towards the start of lap number 7 for these drivers. This is getting a little bit aggressive.
That was a little bit feisty, a little bit too much action. Zimdog was clearly sick of Chris trying to make a move, and now he's looking at the back of RZM Chris. So it can't just seem to get rid of drivers with similar names.
Well, Well, up the road, this battle continues between Zoom and Asics. Asics still holding 4th position, and Sauber Zoom, this absolute fighter, fought his way through in race number 1, pushed through the field, and now race number 2 doing the same job again, up now to 5th position, and looking very strong.
This is a much more pivotal move for Zoom to pull off as he looks down the inside of Asics. Won't be able to get it done as the track curves back around to the left twice more in the near future, and indeed he falls back in the line. Zoom needs the points that Asics holds right now, because Red Bull, with the advantage over Sauber, means that Sauber needs to claw back as many points as it can. All right, Red Bull's sort of out doing their own thing right now, but Sauber is in a very tight battle with Williams. So if they can get 3rd and 4th points instead of 3rd and 5th, that gives them a huge advantage.
Yeah, the points here are so important. All these teams fighting for their chance to win a share of $250,000, $250,000 at the World Finals here, coming up in just a few weeks' time. Right now, though, Sauber Zoom chasing down Asics and looking for a way through. We've got to keep in mind, this guy started on the grid in 11th place. He's already made up all those positions up to 5th, and just needs one more position to push himself and the Sauber team up there on the leaderboards and really optimize.
Did you see how deep both of them went into the braking zone for the final turn, though? They both missed their braking point. So clearly there's a little bit of frustration starting to come into play in the mental side of the game, as there will be a 3-second penalty on Renault after the game. So that's something to keep in mind too, as Renault is a bit further down the board, currently in the 8th position. But for Asics and Zoom, all they care about is fighting over that 4th position and making sure that one of them holds on to it.
It's been a tumultuous race so far for Renault. RZM's front runner really here in the second race. He started out in 4th position on this grid. You've got to keep in mind this is a driver who finished in 11th place at the end of race 1 after dropping down from 4th there as well. So it's been tough for Renault, who I mean, really looking to get a foothold in this championship.
How great is it, by the way, that we're currently running at Sonoma Raceway, built in 1967, right in the prime time for most of the cars on track. So it's just pretty cool when you let that sink in a little bit. Looking at the back of Sauber Zoom's car, you can't help but think about the novel days the Chevys roaming the streets. And I liked what the analysts were saying about cars. It does just sort of fit in.
Yeah, it all feels right this week at Muscle Car Week. We've got a battle here between Sauber Zoom and Red Bull Racing's Asics. Up the road a little bit, we've got another Sauber driver fighting it out for 2nd position on this grid. Chemical has scratched, clawed, dragged himself back into contention here with Williams Mitch. It's taken him 9 laps after a difficult start to the race. And, well, he's got 2-3 more rotations of this circuit to get himself within half a chance of overtaking Chemical, Shay, somebody he can never count out.
Nope, Chevy Nova versus Chevy Nova, is both of these cars with the 6.5 liter normally aspirated V8 engine, normally 396 cubic inches, and that's where the name comes from, 396, Ali. So now you can start to make that little bit of correlation between these two, but they are going at it nail, hammer, and tongs. The smallest of the muscle cars for the Chevy Nova. Can you believe it? Does not look absolutely petite out there, but with a very dense history of drag racing in the NHRA.
Well, backing up Chemical, Sauber Zoom has managed to get his way through past Asics and up into that 4th position. So he got that move done in the end, and Asics dropping now off the rear of Zoom. But I think that battle for 2nd is still very much alive. Let's stay on board here with Chemical as we run through the final 2 laps, pushing onto the rear here of Williams Mitch.
Well, he's got an opportunity to do it, and Chemical will be smart about this. He knows that the track has many more inviting moments. Chemical, who by real life standards is a financial analyst. He's very, very smart, very savvy, and very planned. So we've seen moves from Chemical before that started 2 laps previous.
Sitting on board here with Chemical, he's looking poised, Shays, holding those apexes. Just, maybe sometimes it can feel like an advantage to follow a driver because you can always improve on their line.
Yeah, and there is a bit of target fixation that you have to avoid. Chemical, who's been at Forza for 13 years, knows how the game works, knows the nuances of everything as he goes a bit deeper into the braking zone than Mitch did. That just unsettled Mitch a little bit coming out of the final turn. And now Chemical will know that he's got the advantage going into that final turn for the next lap. Might be able to make a pass right at the dying moments of this race.
I'm going to give a big shout out to all the Forza painters putting together the paints that make our racing championships so vibrant and so beautiful. I think FLG is the guy behind the Sauber paints, and they look great. They look sort of Trans Am style, sort of real vintagey.
Yeah, they feel like Tommy Kendall would be proud to drive anything painted up like that.
Williams Mitch still in second. Not long now to hold on. He's dropped back slowly into the claws, the affections of Chemical, and well, his defense is beginning to be eroded.
You gotta feel bad for Williams Mitch, though. It's a bit like watching what happens when you put, well, a sheep in a pen with a lion. You know it's gonna happen at some point. You really want to look away. You just can't, because it's inevitable. And Williams Mitch, who is doing fine work trying to stay ahead of Chemical, but Chemical knows that position is his. He just has to get around Mitch cleanly in order to keep it. Look at the way that Chemical is utilizing the grass to help turn the car. Muscle car expert in Chemical, and we are really seeing that play out here.
All right, well, the front of this race, we're going to see the winner. That's RBR Box taking the win, but we're going to stay here at least for a second to catch this final battle, the last run through the last corner.
Nope.
With Williams Mitch and Sauber Chemical. No joy.
Wow.
It's a big nope, as you say, but beautifully held there and well raced between the two of them. Great respect between those two drivers.
That was a very impressive performance. Williams Mitch, big round of applause for you for holding off Chemical, because that really did look like Chemical's race to win. And so for at least in terms between the two of them, I mean, the race that they were having on the track, but a really interesting dynamic between those two drivers. Clearly a lot of respect. Clearly they have raced each other a lot before in the past. But I can't wait to see what they do at Homestead, because I bet Chemical knows now he's got a car that can win overall.
Oh, I mean, for sure. He's looking so strong there, Chemical. And it was interesting to me to see as well, compared to race 1, where Red Bull Racing really dominated, took the 1-2 there, Venom as well. I mean, maybe struggling a little bit more in that first race. Red Bull not looking maybe as dominant on the podium here in the second race, and more teams now getting their way up into the those big points.
Well, yeah, we had Sauber and Williams coming home with trophies, effectively, second and third place. So Red Bull, they got lucky through turn 1 at Coda. There was no opportunity for that at Sonoma. There might be an opportunity for that at Homestead. It's a very long radius sort of first turn. There's a lot of different ways to use the banking to try and get the car slowed down. Talking a little bit too far into the future. But from what we saw in this race, it gives me hope that more teams can get more of the points, if you see what I mean.
For sure, for sure. So this last race, I think, is going to be wide open. Somebody who I know the analysts, though, are very interested in taking a look at is Asics from the Red Bull Racing team.
Well, I know a bit of a. There's a lot to talk about, and I think that's what we're trying to figure out right now. What are the main talking points there? Well, Asics, I think overall really showed some aggressive, and not necessarily aggressive that wasn't racing, but some aggressive driving. He wanted to prove.
Yeah, I mean, he started 5th, he finished 5th, but what a great performance by him, to be honest, because he made 2 stellar overtakes in exactly the same place. Just forethought, and he's playing a game of chess. He made that stick, but he was in those battles. He was fighting hard.
He was attacking.
Yeah.
That's what I saw. He was attacking. This is the kind of racing that, I wasn't sure he still had. Comes out and bang, provisionally 5th place for Asics. Got to be happy about that. Box ran away with it, but it was all about Asics right here.
I love the way that he actually gave room to zoom there for that dive bomb. He knew it was like a dive bomb incoming, and he still managed to get around the outside, held it in the Nova. Something you got to know about the Nova really is that it's just a great all-round car. If you don't put PI in it, if you put PI in it, it's just great if it's stock. Like, these guys really built up the Nova well. One of the most popular choices. I think 8 out of the 8 teams are using it, so yeah, definitely popular choice.
It wasn't a problem that Asics got involved in any kind of that Zimdog initially, and of course then he had to kind of come out and like immediately after he was aggressive again. That is racing, right? You guys would clarify that as racing, especially knowing we talk about these penalties.
I think, you know, this is not IndyCars. You've got to expect to hustle and you've got to expect hustle and bustle.
Nah, we're in some American muscle. That's what we're in.
Yeah, no, it's muscle, right? And I know that Sonoma's not very forgiving. You know, you've got
Sure.
grass traps either side. We saw Renault go off at T3A in the first lap. It was just not very forgiving. I think Zimdog just couldn't get a lucky break. He had great skill to hold everyone off for such a long time. I think the result that he got is not representative of his skill in that race.
I think it was lap 7 really turned for him.
Yeah.
He fell down like 2 or 3 spots. Asics was a beneficiary of that. So tough race from Zimdog.
You can't script it for him.
No,
because
you can't.
like he should have been further up the field. I do feel really bad for him, but what a great performance from Box though. Performance from Box, come on. Like, who needs Lage?
Yeah.
Who needs Lage right now?
Yep. 2 wins. I mean, could Lage have done any better? No, 40 points.
Well, you know, you can't do
I
it
bet
better
Lage
than
is thinking somebody wants Lage right now. I would think that he's hoping so. But let's take a closer look at Box because this guy he has shown up today. We know he has the possibility. We know on chat there was a conversation. What's it going to take to beat Box? Well, guys.
Well, he's kind of like their number 2 driver. When Lage is there, they're giving him the PI. He's not there. They're giving Box the PI. He's got 40 points with all that PI so far, 74 points. So he's actually accumulated quite a big majority as well as Lage, which kind of begs the question that they kind of leave Venom just to pick up their scraps, which you were talking about earlier. It's like he's just there to pick up the collateral damage. He did really well there. I think he got like a top 6 finish.
7.
7th spot provisionally. That's great points for them, but Box really filling in for Lage right now.
Fastest lap, a 123.6, just eked out Chemical, and Chemical had a boost, and he put up a 123.7. Box doesn't even need it, and he's faster.
Box doesn't even need it, but come on, like that battle there towards the end between Chemical and Mitch, you've got to know the difference. Like Chemical is running in boost. He's also running 10 PI in that Nova.
Yeah.
But Mitch is running 20 PI, so you can really see like where the strengths and weaknesses of this car was. Mitch, they properly built out that Nova, but it's great all round if you don't put the PI in it. Chemical had the boost, but what was really interesting in that all 3 players finished in where they started on the grid, they finished the race as well. There was no changes. It was 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's great.
You know, I think Mitch has always, over the last couple of years, he surprises me in a lot of different ways. But what I really like about Mitch is he's really methodical, right? He's really smart. And I think he has really shown himself across the board in different championships, at high-level championships on the road. He's relatively consistent.
Yeah, and what's surprising is a lot of these people like have a big enthusiasm in racing. He does too, but he's actually just a gamer.
Yeah.
He's just a natural born gamer. He comes from Call of Duty, come over to Forza Motorsport, and still just knocking on everyone's doors and taking 2nd place there. That's a good performance from him.
This is a boxing match, and he came out alive.
Yeah. I mean,
he came out alive.
Williams are going to be really happy with his performance, considering Chemical had the boost. He is putting a lot of points in for the team. I'm just expecting him to take the win at some point.
Well, and Mitch obviously being someone who had the target in his back a little bit in that race too, and being able to again stay cool, calm, and collected, showing that gamer side. That I mean, he has the right mindset, and I think even when we see him at land events, when we have him in front of us, he's oftentimes very cool, calm, and collected.
He's very timid. He's not an introvert. That's a horrible way to say things, but he keeps himself to himself. His actions speak louder than words because he doesn't really say many words. He just says a lot when he's driving. I can't wait to see what he does in race 3.
That's going to be his track. Actually, probably Venom's track, right?
It's 7's track.
7's track.
So this is going to Homestead. This is Mercury Coupe territory.
This is,
this is
bathtub
territory. Let's see those boats. Let's see those brothers. And steam paddle.
Hopefully, rubber side down though, right? I mean, when they get on the banking, you know,
flip it. Yeah, just go for it.
Before we get there, though, let's finish up our time over in Sonoma. What we had for those results, because I think it is important to note that again, it's about the points, it's about these finishes, and it's not just Box winning. It's that middle pack racing that we're seeing. And I think that's a good thing to keep in mind.
Ooh, Asics, a penalty, 3 seconds.
I mean, that is kind of expected. I mean, the first overtake was a little bit rough. You said it was perfect, flip mode, but I don't think it was. It was a little bit rough. He did get the back end loose, shoved Renault into the grass. I think that may be what that was for.
It's okay. Venom got the spot.
Oh yeah, so it makes no difference there, I guess. Again, Chris moving up a few spots, but RZM in that 8th, 10th, and 12th. They've really not climbing. Renault started 4th in this race. He's all the way down in 10th. He is just so unlucky at the moment. Really unlucky, and gaining penalties there.
Oh, I think they got some boosts to use. Just have fun. Race number 3 for RZM.
Look at Zoom there. He's got most positions gained again. This is the strategy that Sauber are running, gaining that hard charger every time. We know that Rise have banked 3 boosts going into their next race, but they've also Sauber just got another boost off the back of that. but 3rd and 4th for Sauber. That is good for them because they're in that 1-point margin battle with Williams for that 2nd spot. I think Red Bull Racing have really secured that top spot for this match, but it's all that battle for 2nd for me now.
I think Zoom earned his own boost too, right? Because
Yeah.
he's in the Bel Air.
Yeah, he's earning his boost and he's just sharing it with his teammates.
So watch him in race 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Match results, of course, we know that this is where it continues to build on. We see these added points. We know that these guys are working towards solidifying their spot within the top 7, and of course then that LCQ, and just hoping they're not anybody who drops off that back end and still has a chance to make it to the LAN event.
I think statistically speaking, 9 points is the lowest we've seen.
Come on, give him a break.
No,
you gotta
I'm
kick
not
him while
giving
they're
him a break.
down.
You've not even got double figures and we're into race 3.
Here's
like,
the thing.
Come on.
Here's the thing, and I will say this, even watching last week, Mellish, what I like and respect about you is you just say it as it is.
Yeah.
And I
It's
respect
like I'm
it.
adopting that American culture. Like I'm usually reserved. I'm like, Rise, like pull your socks up, man. You gotta
Yeah, but
do
you know what?
something.
Chris was awfully great last week.
Yeah, but he's not this week.
Yeah, not this week.
Well, that's just how it is. I mean,
Hey Chris, is there anything going on in your world right now? Can you let us know in chat like
Man.
what you're working through? Because it'd be good to know what the difference is. Did you eat your Wheaties last week, not this week? Who knows, right? But like again, it goes back to it could be a team thing. It could be the way that they're communicating. It could be I don't know. Someone was saying they were using WhatsApp, communicating between each other during these events. So who knows at this point what it is? But Rise, I'd love to know.
well, let's go back to.
Hold on.
Oh,
Red,
go,
I want to
go.
say something here. Red Bull, 69 points. They needed 60,
Yeah,
and they haven't even raced their 3rd race.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're already
ahead of Lazarus.
ahead of Lazarus. They're the #1 seed right now.
That,
Box.
I mean,
Box and Asics.
for me, like.
Sorry, Venom. Venom
it's-
too. Mostly Box.
No, like Venom is doing the job that
Yeah.
RBR have given him to do. Is picking up those crumbs
Yep.
when he can.
Has he got 1 car this season?
What?
Have they given him 1 PI? Have they given him
No.
something?
No,
No.
but they don't need to. They're giving it to drivers that can perform. I'm not saying they can perform better. He knows his role. He's playing his role. That's all he has to do in the team. It's not about individual performance.
And that's exactly what I wanted to make a note about because I think, again, we started this season saying this was different. We were changing things up. It's about the team. We really want to work towards what the strategy's all about. And I think this is a perfect example of a guy who would celebrate with the team and is going to get just as much money along the way and just as much recognition, but he's doing what he needs to do in order to make the team successful.
I mean, when you set the story, Kate, you were saying like it's the battle of the Titans. Like I absolutely believe that maybe 2 of the teams will be looking at this as their drop round, and that's Williams and Sauber.
Yep.
But Williams have that privilege. Sauber really don't.
Doesn't.
They did not have a great performance in LMP versus IndyCar, and I think this is where they're now going to have to go. Well, they're obviously going to drop their lowest score, but they don't want another low score, if that makes sense. They need to perform better than Williams, and that's their drive. They have to score more in this race than Williams do.
Coming into this, Williams knew they may not have had the best builds. Sauber thought they may have had something going.
Yeah.
And they're going to boost Zoom, and they're going to boost Chemical.
It's working. No,
it's working.
It's working out. I think they've just been
not the
really
same points
unfortunate.
haul.
Oh, come on. I mean, Chemical got taken out in the first race. He was collided, and then you got Zimdog that's really battling, couldn't spread his wings. Just give him an inch. Like, come on, get off his chrome bumper, man.
Okay, all right. So the question that I have is going into Homestead.
Yeah.
We have Sauber, we have Williams, right? What is their strategy? You take Sauber, you take Williams.
Go for it. You go first.
7. Seven's car. Seven's car is going to be fast here. That's just the class. There's a lot of high-speed banks here. So watch Seven's car.
I think Zoom as well. I think if they got boost, invest it in the car that's been like they've already invested the PI in. Go for that one big result, and then kind of like trying to like have 2 bottom feeders.
And Zoom has a boost, and I don't think 7 does.
No, he doesn't. So 7, I don't think Williams have got any boost so far.
So Williams got no boost. So Zoom's going to be fast.
Yeah, Zoom's going to be super fast. And this is Homestead. There is no high downforce. This is literally mechanical grip, slow corners, and shoot away. Just go like a rocket.
And don't roll.
Don't roll.
Moral of the story.
More importantly.
Ali Shay, moral of the story, don't roll. But do you agree with their strategies?
Don't roll. That's a place to start.
Yeah.
It's a place to start. I figure from there, it can only really get better as a strategy and more complex.
Sure. I mean, you got to set the expectation low and then build from there. So don't roll is pretty high expectation. I mean, it is Homestead after all.
All right. Well, that's the plane landing in Miami. I'm stepping off the plane as someone who's never been there, Shay. What am I seeing? What's it like?
You're still going to have about an hour and a half drive down to the speedway.
Ow.
You're just now landing in Miami. There's an Air Force base next to the track, though,
Okay.
so maybe if you do just enough wrong. They'll let you land there, and then they'll take you off to jail. It's all good, buddy. Now, welcome to Miami. This is my home.
I wouldn't do well in Florida jail.
You would not. You would disappear very quickly. So, Homestead Miami Speedway, just over 2 miles long, 15 turns with this version of the track that we're running, and 10 laps of the track. Turns 3 and 4, a little bit of a corkscrew effect. You actually go downhill, and we don't have elevation in Florida. The base of all of our existence is on limestone. Doesn't mean you can dig down at all, or else you just hit ocean. This track, which was built in 1995, it was a big pick-me-up for the area after the devastation of Hurricane Andrew in 1992. Ralph Sanchez was the guy who really pushed for this track to be built. And what a track it is. I love this place. Very, very light surface. It eats your tires like Cookie Monster going through, well, the chocolate chip cookies that I brought out for y'all this weekend. It's a wonderful place to go. I've got more laps around this place than any other circuit in terms of the world. Just doing laps around there for days. It never gets old.
It's an awesome circuit, and this kind of lovely sun-bleached feel on Forza Motorsport 7. You go out there and everything kind of feels like it's settled in and rooted, and it's almost a little bit shocking that it was only built in 1995.
Yeah, it's got a very classic feel to Homestead. Currently the site of the NASCAR finale, the NASCAR Championship weekend. That's going to change for next year. So if you've got an opportunity to go to that race this year, definitely don't miss out. But the guys were talking about the bankings. We don't run the bankings in this configuration. We're actually staying off of NASCAR turns 1, 2, 3, and 4, using the infield portion of the track, but still using the straightaways on either side of the oval.
Okay, well, 2 drivers who are going to be trying to use all of those straightaways and those corners to keep themselves, well, ahead of each other, but also not clashing into each other too much, are Venom and Chris, 2 people who've been close so far, Shay.
Part of the thing that I find interesting about comparing these 2 guys, Venom has more points for the team than Chris does. He's 42 as opposed to 31. But
Wow.
look at the contributions to the teams. Chris has been a third of the team, so the young German has been pulling his weight and then some, versus Venom, who's only gotten 15% because he's driving with guys like Lage and like Box. He hasn't been able to feature as much. So these 2 drivers really fighting it out at the back of the pack, but very similar drivers in terms of their style and, quite frankly, in terms of how much they like to mess around with one another.
I find it really interesting that this is almost the rear runner of Red Bull Racing and the lead runner, today at least, from Rise Motorsport, and they're really close on track. It's a real stark way of showing the difference in the pace of the 2 teams.
For sure, and you look at where they ranked last year, Chris was 186th in the world on Forza, and Venom was 5th. So
wow.
Very different in terms of their accomplishments, very similar in terms of what they've been able to accomplish so far in the tournament this year.
Well, one of the similarities between them as well that many community guys will know is that both of them have been around for quite a long time in ForzaRC years at least. Both of them a lot of experience. I can remember them way back when in Series 1 and 2 racing it out. So they know each other very well. What's that?
You knew them when they were still in diapers.
They were still in diapers.
Aww.
That's it. Yeah. Still little babies. And here we are, 2019, with a team competition and a whole new way of racing. So nice to see them adapting and growing with the times.
And it's going to be a very competitive race for both of them. Venom, we hope, finally gets this opportunity to go to the front of the field, but we're going to have to find out where he starts. That's going to be a big difference.
Well, that's the next thing to get really into and excited about. We've got the grid order for you right here. First up, Red Bull Racing with their top seed electing to put Box on the front row of that grid.
Once again, Venom left to the back of the pack, starting in 9th. No boosts whatsoever for Red Bull Racing, but we've seen that in the past, and we've seen that Box still wins the race. So maybe that'll happen again.
That's right. Box doesn't seem to need the boost. Behind him, though, it's going to be the Williams team, who I think will need some boosts.
And
we've got
get them.
2 for these guys.
Yeah, it's Mitch and 7. So starting 2nd and 6th, both of them will have boost. I would expect at the very least from the Williams team a strong possibility for 2nd and 3rd in the race today. All
right, well, Roadrunner's going to have to muscle up in that CUDA to get himself up the grid from 10th. 3rd seed here is the Sauber team. And coming into this race, they'll be wishing they had a few more points. It might be a good chance for them here, though.
Interesting to see Zoom starting at the front of the field for once, and he does have a boost upgrade. So Zoom with a very real opportunity in that Bel Air to get around Box, something we haven't said today.
Okay, the RZM team, they've been, what was it, saving all their ducks for Homestead. That's my country song. I'm going to have a #1 country hit and perform at the Grand Ole Opry
And
with that one.
well, the ducks that they've been saying have come quacking because everybody has a boost on this team. Oprah has been very kind, giving out boosts to everybody for RZM. So it's Renault starting best up on the grid, just hoping he doesn't get taken out again like he was at Sonoma on lap 1. Chris in 8th and Chris in 12th. Watch for Chris to make a lot of passes.
Well, that's going to be interesting, and we were looking earlier at that battle between Chris and Venom, and certainly it'll be an interesting one to monitor as we head into the race. We're heading to Homestead at the moment, and it is an electric start here in the run down that long oval straight. We're going to cut off it though before we hit the bank corner, and down into the infield we go. On board right now with Chris, and you can see Venom just up the road. Roadrunner for now though, sitting between those two rivals, and Sauber Zimdog not letting himself go at all. Up the inside, in through this first complex. That, as you say, Shay, has a little bit of elevation.
It does, as they dive down through turn 3, come out at the exit through turn 4, and now a long straight into turn 5. Braking for this corner is so pivotal because it's actually a decreasing radius on the exit of the corner. And guess what? There's a wall there that you really don't want to get too far out to meet as Roadrunner gets hit. Who was that who hit him? It was Chris, as now they're 3 wide for the 10th spot, Allie.
Well, I wasn't even watching Chris wobbling around there because Venom threw it up the inside of 2 other drivers. Venom, whatever he's had for breakfast today, I want some of that because he's been electric all day long. Up the inside of Chemical, and Chris doesn't pay off, loses out with speed on the straight, but looking punchy there in the corners at least.
Yeah.
Venom, who's now slipping backwards.
And all of them took the early apex through that final turn before they come out onto the banking turn 9. I would not have done that. It's much better if you do a late apex and then carry speed onto that back straight. Have to get the braking point just right for that turn. Back into the infield, now you've got a little bit of Mickey Mouse course. You do a left and then a right and then a left. Don't want to come back up onto the banking too soon, or else you're going to knock the... Wait a minute, they don't have splitters on these cars. They've got about 2 feet of elevation. You can come back on the banking however you want as they cross the line to end lap 1.
At the front of the field, Roadrunner leads the way, but it's Box in 3rd right now. Get out of here, 3rd place. Who's lagging behind. And you can see the difference. It's all down to that boost. No boosts for the Red Bull Racing team here in the final race, and boosts galore around them. And Box getting swallowed right now. Every time we hit a straight, every time there's a moment for those V8s around him to rev up to get their gravelly voices going, it's Box dropping back into the clutches of the car behind. And Mitch here is going to be the next driver to start threatening the driver who's won every race so far today.
Oh, cool. The Goodyear Blimp is flying over Homestead. That's actually, it lives just a little bit north of me, and it does fly down to Homestead with a pretty good regularity. Glad to see it coming out, making an appearance today. Beautiful day in Homestead, Florida, as Renault up into 2nd. A much better start for that driver than the last race around. Box still fighting for 3rd, but Williams Mitch with the boost upgrade, he's going to have an opportunity to pass him on the outside of the banking. Should be an easy pass for the Nova.
Inside, outside, Mitch will go any way he likes because that car has got a whole load more speed. The boost upgrade deployed by his coach, and well done strategically there from Williams coach Harmonic to give all of his drivers the best opportunity here in the final race. And we could, Shay, we could be looking at a Williams 1-2 in the final race.
We could be looking at a Red Bull not on the podium of a race in which they've taken part. I don't think that's happened so far at all. I don't think a Red Bull's actually not won a race that they've been competing in, actually. Gonna have to double check with the analysts for a little bit of background on that, but you're right. Williams coach Harmonic doing everything perfectly so far. He's known as a strong coach. He's known as a Chevy fan, and his favorite driver, Antonio Garcia, we just received word yesterday that Antonio's longtime driving partner, Jan Magnussen, will no longer be back with Corvette, so Will Harmonic probably a little bit sad at that news at the very least, but happy that his drivers are looking in for a good opportunity to win this sucker.
Well, speaking of mighty falling,
wow.
On board here as Box has his next suitor calling. The next driver looking to slip on by, and Zoom with all that top end. We've seen how powerful Zoom's been all day in that awesome Bel Air, and his 3rd race, he's just looking to get some sweet results in, get some points on the board for the Sauber team, and get them up that leaderboard.
That's the line. Zoom took the line that I take through that final turn. onto the backstretch. It allows you to carry much more speed. He's going to have the inside as he dives down the inside. Got on the brakes a little bit too soon, and Box manages to hold on for the moment at least.
There's going to be some contact here, and Zoom runs Box out of road there. Very rude indeed from the Sauber driver, sneaking up the inside and pushing all the way wide. Box will be fuming inside the seat of that Plymouth Fury. Well, fuming in a Fury.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of makes sense. Ali, you see how early they're coming back up onto the banking out of that final turn 15? When I did the Ferrari Challenge event at Homestead just a couple of weeks ago, we had to line cones out further to stop drivers from coming back up onto the banking that sharply. They were given about a 15-foot window to make it back up on the banking, otherwise they would damage their cars. Not a worry for muscle cars.
Such a pleasure to have Shay, Adam, casting this alongside me. Such a lot of experience. And, well, this is your home from home, and it certainly shows. We've got another battle further down this field, and that's Chris here with Chemical just up ahead. These two have been scrapping it out all day, and Chemical, for now, with the upper hand. I will say, though, we're only going to check in with these guys, because I think up the road, the battle for second place is still pretty close. And that's right at the front between Renault and Mitch. We're back here just with the battle for fourth. That's Zoom and Box. But just behind Renault here, I think Mitch is on the hunt. And not too far away at all, as Renault just runs it a little wide on the exit to the back straight there and begins to get the magnets on.
What a fascinating battle between two cars in two very different classes. You've got Renault, who's running in the Mercury. This is a 1949 Mercury Coupe. All right, it's got 6.2-liter V8 beneath the hood and a little bit out of the hood too. But Williams Mitch running the Chevy Nova, which again is a V8, but a 6.5-liter V8. They're very different theories as to go fast, and they're both doing it well, but they need to stop worrying about one another so that they can try and get up to the lead. Well, at least that's what Renault's saying. Mitch is saying, hey, buddy, it's my teammate up there. I want to go catch him up. I need to get as many points as I can. Can you just go away? Can you just, can you just, slow down a little bit? Thanks.
I'm driving here.
Yeah. Oh, they should have a horn button that they can just lay on the whole time. I'm sure that...
And that's why they don't.
I'm sure that there's a driver or two with an air horn in his bedroom that he just occasionally sounds to make himself feel better.
Well, for context here, the Mercury Coupe run by Renault, known as the Lead Sled, is a very, very weighty car, very old vehicle, more like a tank than a real road-going production car. And Mitch, in I think one of the smallest cars to ever come out of Detroit,
in the muscle car era, yes.
Right,
yeah,
right, exactly.
They do make a Ford Focus and Fiesta, all those tiny little cars. But no, you're right on that. I love how the lake is on the outside of the banking. That is so cool, because it is actually there, and there's a sign there that says, don't stand here, alligators. They will come and eat you, which one of my British friends found out this year, as a matter of fact. Not that he got eaten by an alligator, that the sign was there when he was standing there taking a picture. Perfect opportunity for Mitch coming out of that final turn. He's got the speed, but look at Renault just pull away with the slightly more tuned up engine.
All right, well, lap 6 of 10 in the final race today. This is the second match, the third round of the championship, and it's been a fascinating one so far. At the end of the day today, all the teams have had an equal number of races, and we'll get a really representative look at the leaderboard. So it's going to be a fascinating day of races. We've got a whole another match coming at you today after this with a whole new set of teams, and one of the most exciting ones to look at there will be Jota, I think, who are going to be coming out and maybe racing in a pack that they can finally score some good points in.
No, I completely agree with that, but don't leave my home track yet. After this race is done, I'll take you up to Ciro's. We'll go get some pizza nearby. We'll have a little bit of fun in my neck of the woods first, and then we'll get going with the race for Jota, which it should be, well, like a slice of cake for them.
Here we go, lap 6 of 10. Cake wouldn't be too bad about now, I think, for a few of those. Yeah, you got me hungry. I'll go for that.
Cookies and brownies. Remember, Cookie Monster. Got to make him proud. Poor Renault. He has not been able to breathe a lick during the course of this one because the 21-year-old from Belgium has had that Williams in front of him and the Williams behind him to worry about the whole race so far. and only 3 laps to go means that his thumbs might be getting a little pretty tired from trying to fend off the Williams attack.
Ooh, that's Renault bumping the wall on the way out of the final chicane. He'll still have the top end, but for the first time, Mitch crosses the line ahead of Renault. And that says to me that there's a shadow of a chance here for Mitch, who slips on through on the way into the twisty section. And now, Shay, he can bring home all the advantage of that lighter car.
Beautiful move by Mitch, but he can't breathe easy just yet because we still have about 9 long straights that he's going to have to go down, and he knows that the performance advantage is with Renault in that Mercury. So that's going to be a little bit of a headache for Mitch. He's going to have to keep watching his rearview mirror.
This now is the moment for Mitch to pull away and to start really getting the pace of that Chevy Nova onto the track. We're looking backwards now over the shoulder of Mitch towards Renault, who I expected Shay to be dropping away a little bit faster than this. He's still relevant as we come onto the back straight.
He is. And Box and A6 are back in 5th and 6th. I was just looking a bit further behind them to try and see where 4th place was. You can't see 4th, but you can't see 5th or 6th either, which means that it's pretty safe on a podium between RZM and Williams. But look at Renault coming back at Mitch as they come down the long straight. It's just what I said.
We can see there's 2.25 seconds of penalties there that Renault has so far accrued in this race. So Mitch, in some ways, the pressure is off him to pass, although I think he'll still want to get it done on track. Just like a boxer, he'll want to knock him out in the ring rather than let it go to the judges. Renault, this was the moment, this was the pass, an unforced error from Renault into the barrier at the top of the straight, took all the speed off of that big old heavy Mercury. They had to find all the momentum again, and it was enough for Mitch to get the nose up the inside into T1.
And here he comes again as they go through turn 3. It's going to be Mitch with the advantage as he easily gets by before they turn back around through that turn 4 and then into 5 complex. But the problem is just the power of the Mercury of RZM Renault as opposed to the, well, cornering ability of Williams Mitch in the Nova.
All over the rear of Mitch and leaning the weight of that car on him. It's been a great battle here between these two, but we can't forget that this is the 3rd race of 3. We're going to jump back to a battle in the mid-pack, though, with 3 abreast.
No.
With Sauber Chemical, Asics, and RZM Chris, 3 different teams as well. So no loyalties split in this battle as Chris fishes around, finds a line, looks for a way to get side by side. He's going to try it right the way around the outside of this hairpin. Optimistic at best. The over-under might work out for him here, though, as Asics gets into Chemical on the corner exit, and Chris powers down. Will make one move, but I think Chemical's safe for now.
Well, Chris has the boost advantage, and neither of the cars he's battling against do, so that will help going into that turn 10, and yep, he gets it done.
Wow.
I do like that outside line, particularly through the final corner, but he did have to pinch down the apex quite a bit as Asics gets around Chemical, and Chemical's not going to be happy.
Some great calculated driving we saw from Chris there, running on board with a car, looking forward towards 2 ahead and searching for a gap. It's a real sort of, it's almost juggling the way when you look at it.
You just have to worry about the other guys taking each other out, and that's ultimately what he did. So it was a good move by Chris, as back into the 3rd position is Renault, still trying to catch up with the 2 Williams cars ahead of him.
That's right, Sauber Chemical here. We're back on board with that battle and that fight. We saw Chris succeed in last lap. Asics already all over the rear of RZM Chris. Chemical dropping away just gently, just by a couple of car lengths from the battle up ahead. He's going to have to get his head down, get the lines just perfect around this sun-bleak circuit. You were saying, Shay, that there's sand and there's seashells and all sorts of different things that make this circuit so difficult to race on.
It's a ridiculously abrasive circuit just because of the natural elements in the pavement, effectively. You see how light it is? That is actually how light the circuit is. As Asics almost dove down the inside of Chris there. That wouldn't have been the brightest move ever, but he manages to gather it back up. That's why this track is so difficult. It's a very technical circuit to begin with, but then you factor in the fact that you lose grip after a couple of laps depending on the tire brand on which you're running. But it's a very hard track, particularly for amateurs. Part of why I love the challenge.
Hugely technical here at Homestead. Chemical still following Asics through. He had a sniff there of a chance as Asics lost out from the rear of Chris, but I think you'll see Asics pull away on the straight here. Chemical getting dropped every time we get to a straight line section. He doesn't have the beans inside that V8 and is missing a boost upgrade here in this final race.
Isn't it fun to see just what a difference the boost upgrade makes in real time in terms of the battle? Because, well, Chemical hasn't been able to keep up with Chris ever since Chris got away. They're running identical cars, save for the fact that the boost upgrade is with the RCM driver and not with the Sauber.
All right, well, up in the lead of this race, Williams 7 has gone largely unspoken about, and the reason for that is that he's absolutely run away. But what a great result from 7, and I think one of his first wins of the year, a driver who, you know, we've seen up and down the grid in all sorts of different positions, but finally getting that big #1.
He's always been known as somebody who's very fast, but he has been overshadowed in the past. We're talking about a guy who was 3rd in 2017. He works in a hotel. That's his normal day-to-day thing. He does Forza because this is what he loves, and he loves racing. You know what's going to be the sweetest thing for Williams 7, though, Ali?
Go on.
The driver he least likes to race against? The one who won the first 2 races. So this is victory for Williams 7 and denies Red Bull an opportunity to sweep the match.
Okay, well, 2nd place will be Williams Mitch with Renault in 3rd. So that Williams 1-2 does work out. Sauber Zoom not quite able to optimize the result in the same way he did in race #1 and 2, but I think Sauber will be very proud of their Brazilian driver and very proud of the efforts from all of their guys who are on board with Chemical here, who's going to run across the line in 8th place. Wow, what an interesting matchup. What a whole new different flavor, delectable flavor of racing we had this week with these muscle cars.
Well, you get a new flavor when you come to Miami. It's a very eclectic place, not really a melting pot, more of a salad bowl, because you get all the different cultures that still exist in their own right, and you saw that on the racetrack too. We had the different divisions of the cars, each strong in its own way. How nice was it, though, to see a different team rising to the top? And that really was a great race for Williams.
It was an awesome race. A 1-2 finish for those two guys, Shay, and that's going to surely mean that they're looking strong coming out this week.
Well, going into the race, we were talking about how, we were joking actually after race 1, Williams and Sauber were fighting for that 2nd position. That was a clear declaration of, no. We're not interested in 2nd, we're interested in 1st. And let's show you how well we can do it by winning a race. Not only winning a race, but doing a 1-2.
All right, well, in a little bit of time today, the next thing we're going to be going on to do is a 2nd matchup with a whole new set of teams. What do you think we can take from these first 3 matches and in terms of shaping our expectations going into the rest of the day?
The Mercury is a very strong car. We saw that with multiple drivers piloting that car. We were a little bit unsure as to how that would work out. There's only one driver in the next round who is not running the Mercury in terms of that division, and that is a driver that we've had a lot of fun talking about, you know, shaking the boundary of what's expected. Looking at you, Hydra, make that Plymouth Fury work, because Box did, but the Mercury came strong at the end, so that's going to be something to watch for the next round.
All right, well, so much to unpack from that first match of the day, and no one better to do it than Shay and the pundits. Excuse me, not Shay. Shay's right here.
I'm moving desks. What?
Yeah, that's right.
No.
This is how you find out. Kate and the pundits. So let's check in with those guys.
Shay, we got a chair for you and everything. Come join our fun. But no, you know, you guys made some really good points over there. Obviously, we saw that Mercury to be strong. Mateo Max on chat just said, if 7 won, which he did in fact, to our knowledge, there will have been 7 different drivers, you know, finish on the podiums here today, which I think really helps identify how diverse, how unique the car combinations, the track combinations really is, and then how we saw Williams get that 1-2 here today, provisionally, right? And the big question then is teed up, did they save everything for the last?
Well, I am not going to lie, they were pretty panicky when they found out that they were running 3rd third in qualification. They found out drastically that they didn't build the cars correctly, but their strategy played out so well. And I want to believe that they designed it like this. They intentionally saved everything for the last race. It worked out for them. They got a great points haul. And, you know, we were talking about the 2 teams are going to be maybe using their drop round here. I don't think Williams are.
They may not have to now.
No, I don't think they will do at all.
Yeah, only 3 people, 3 drivers put up times in less than 1:34. 2 of them were Williams. 7 a 133.8, Mitch a 133.6, Zoom a 133.9. Everyone else, don't even bother. I don't know what the word 35, 36 is.
And also as well, the Mercury Coup, like we expected to see that excel at Homestead. It's a one-trick pony. It was specifically chosen in each match for one track, but for this match, it was this track. So what was really surprising is that we had a Mercury Coup out in front, but Renault's Coupe just couldn't hold on to Mitch's Nova. Mitch's Nova was great. He had 20 PI in it. He had the boost, and he was making charges. He didn't have the acceleration on the straights, and we saw that. But one mistake from Renault, and it was game over.
Here's our replay. This is Mitch on the charge. I mean, look where he is starting. This is where he's in 4th.
Yeah.
And he's not looking at 3rd. He's not looking at box. He's looking at Renault.
Yeah, no, he tees up this corner nicely. He's really surprising here that he actually gets to run on box. Box is running that twin turbo in the Fury. So he's got more pace in him because of the boost. Now the boost in this car I think was a stock camshaft, so it added like 20, 30 horsepower, and that's all it really needed.
And that does help, and that does make a big difference. But as a driver, what are you seeing in Mitch here today?
Composure. He knows. Williams came into this feeling like they were maybe outgunned in terms of builds, but to come away with 30+ points in a race is yeah, no drop round needed to take away from this one.
Well, we know that Mercury, as you said, that was kind of the expectation. We knew that Mercury and it was going to be up against some high-level cars here with that Nova, knowing that they were kind of being supported. But
I want to talk about this.
Yeah,
because
go for
this for me was really interesting. A lot of people, you know, I know these cars are super difficult to handle. The Mercury isn't the best at handling. It's all about acceleration. But it's hitting that banking. These drivers should know, if you hit that banking at such a gradient, the car will bottom out and it straight lines up towards the wall. That was the case for Renault. Open the door for Mitch on the straight, which is where the Mercury Coup excels.
Yeah.
So he lost that, and then, well, Mitch capitalized on that, take the second spot.
Yeah. No, and I think it was a dynamic race, and I think the battles, as Ali said, you know, the battles and kind of the matchups there was really fascinating to kind of see it all come alive. And on chat also, I want to talk about the Merc, because Craviator said that Merc is so fast, right? Diablo said, there goes a Merc, that mobile bathtub. And we talked about this. We knew at the beginning of this that, I mean, you guys knew, that Merc was going to be the one to beat.
I think it was unquestionable how that Merc was going to respond at Homestead, but for me the question was, how was he going to respond at Sonoma and Kota?
Yeah.
And that was really interesting to watch those guys. Renault did a great job for recovering. Probably one of the highlights of RZM's kind of like moments in this match was a recovery from a crash maybe, but Renault finished 3rd there, I think.
Yeah, the big difference, the reason why the Merc was fast, turbos. And the Merc without turbos was not as fast. And the two people who had them,
the bathtub.
It was just, it's just a bathtub.
Absolute
filled with water.
Bathtub. Just a big old boat. Before we move on, I want to dive into Zoom and Box and what that looked like as well. But you know, 7 did such a phenomenal job. It was maybe one of his first wins of the season, if not his first win of the season. And you know, I want to make sure that we dive in a little deeper with 7 as well.
Yeah, that's absolute recognition there. I mean, he's been kind of not an underdog, but he's kind of been stuck in the shadows. He's been kind of Venom's counterpart for most of this championship.
Sure, picking up them scraps.
Yeah, right, picking up them scraps. But he's done a great job so far. 65 points for low tier results, because that's where the team have put him, is actually really good. That for me is more impressive than Box's results, about how many points he's taking.
They asked him to win this race, or at least get a top performance. Not only get a top performance, he won. He did his job today.
And this is really interesting for me because maybe, you know, people new to the Forza Racing Championship don't know this, but you've got ASICS, you've got Renault, and you've got 7. They're all ex-BAM members. They used to be part of the all French BAM team. And kind of watching them race, I was hoping to see scraps come out, some kind of just reminisce maybe, but no, they kept it clean against each other for the most part. Some racing respect between the Frenchmen there.
Well, as Rossi's saying, you know, Williams with the young points haul, and you know, we know that within, you know, the race results, we can see and kind of guesstimate as we're kind of watching to see how they really can pull together. People on chat were thinking that could be a solid, you know, 38 points. Who knows? We'll see in just a moment. But we do know that these are the race results. Congrats again to 7.
Yeah, no, RZM. Great result for them, really. They kind of banked on Renault. They had all 3 boosts in the race. So really, they should have done better than they did, but I'm going to cut them some slack and say they did really well. But
keep in mind we have those FFR penalties too.
Yeah, so those are, what you see there is no additional penalties. Yeah. There are, of course, Forza Racer regulation penalties. You see the little triangle indicating that there was a cut or an extension somewhere on the track. A few guys didn't do that, but no additional penalties
And I think, and for the two guys up top, Mitch and Seven, I think I'm right in saying they only got half a second worth of penalties. So a second combined for them, they're not going anywhere. And you can see that they're not going anywhere. They're going to stick to that 1 and 2 spot.
Yeah, and then you see another Williams Esports with Mitch, having the hard charger. And I think that's something to note because as we said going into this event, Williams Esports had to do something against Sauber, right? Yeah. We talked about their strategy. What was it going to be compared to Sauber? Not necessarily saying that they would be taking that away from Red Bull.
Yeah, I feel that they weren't hopeful, but they were realistic. They knew they were going to get dogged in the first race, and I feel like they put all their eggs in one basket into this race. It paid off for them. Roadrunner playing that scrap game right at the back. Great job from him. He scored a bunch of points here today. Venom has got... So Venom didn't get lucky this time, so no penalties are going to make Venom shoot up the board. He is in dead last.
The big story here, though, Red Bull, this is their worst race of the season.
That's exactly what I was going to go with. And as we look at
7th and 12th.
And as we look at these match results, I just want to take a note on how different this is than what we saw before.
Whoa!
Right? Like, that is just phenomenally interesting.
That is Red Bull's drop round.
This is
Red Bull's drop round. Is this your drop round, guys?
That is Red Bull's
Let us know.
This might be Sauber's drop round.
And now is it Williams? Because we even talked, is this going to be their drop round?
Well, I don't think this is going to be...
I didn't see this happening. I did not see this happening. I thought for sure after Box winning the first 2 races, and then Williams, we talked about it. Uh-oh, wrong builds.
I said to you they were going to... You're like, no, it's not. Like, I can do it, man. I can work it out. Like, yeah,
so how do you feel your strategies worked out here before that race? We talked your 2 strategies for Sauber and for Williams. And do you think?
I think Sauber are actually in a catch-22 right now because they, in their poor performance in week 2, I think it was, of the LMP, they also got 60 points. So actually, doesn't make any difference which one they take. They're still going to take 60 points away with them, and that's not the result that they kind of had the week after when they got 100 points plus.
They should be looking forward and going higher up the standings.
Yeah.
And right now, I'm starting to think maybe they need to start looking behind them.
Yeah.
They're going to be watching this next match very closely.
Very, very closely.
Very closely.
And I just want to point out as well, in all seriousness, I don't think it was anything to do with the coach subbing in. I'm going to give credit to Zama when he deserves it. He absolutely deserves it. I think he's just been caught short. He just couldn't get... He didn't have enough room. Like, he was given no PI, but he absolutely know how to drive these cars. All of the Sauber team do. They just really got unlucky. That's why we saw so many penalties this match. And I think that's largely with Zimdog included.
Williams, I can't believe it. I didn't see that happening.
You didn't see it happening?
We could double check the math or something.
No, like, literally. Man, can you, I mean, like, immediately.
I thought for sure this was Red Bull's win.
Well, you got it wrong.
Yeah. Well, again, it was the worst, their worst race of the season.
Saying it as it is yet again. There you go.
And maybe we can question that's, with Lage there, we were pumping Box. I'm like, yeah, you don't need Lage. You don't need Lage. Like, no, we definitely need Lage. Come back, Lage. Like, that's how I feel right now.
Right, because that could have been a big difference maker within that particular race, right? If that was maybe the worst race that they had, how much of a difference that would have been with Lage?
How key were the boosts? Red Bull did not have any. And because they did not have any, that's why they had their worst race of the season, and that's why they lost this match.
I do want to add, Chemical just said on chat, it was tough out there today. And I can see for Chemical, buddy, hang in there, right? Because I think he's one that we didn't have a whole lot of conversation about, except for the fact that it was a little bit tough. But right now we are heading over to have a quick conversation with a guy that we've been talking about all day, who is Harmonic with Williams Esports. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. How's everyone doing over there?
I think overall, we're hanging in there. We have very much enjoyed that last race by you and your team. Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, that was a nail biter for sure. Those first 2 races especially.
Yeah, I mean, I think a nail biter is a good way to put it. I think all of us kind of had expectations set for your team, thinking one thing or another. And I think going into this match in particular, we were saying the word prestige was an important word for your team. How do you feel that word played into your guys' strategy to know that you guys could do it and still could come out on top?
I think everyone in the field knows, even from week 1, that our building game has been pretty strong throughout the season, so everyone was looking out for that. Unfortunately, we made a couple of mistakes this week, actually, but I think we still kept people on their toes, and especially in the last race, I think it paid off, and people realized that even with mistakes like that, we can still contend for wins and big points.
How do you think your build compared to that of Red Bull?
We were worried in qualifying when we saw Box just storm ahead of the pack. Like, like nothing. We were a little concerned that we had overlooked some things, but we started. I think that just shows how amazing these drivers that we have on Williams are. That even with seeing that the day before the race, they were able to work together with me to pick up or to come up with the best strategy to pick up the most points, and we ended up coming out on top because of it.
You know, I think that was the big conversation. Did you guys save everything for this last event? Were you just, or this last race, were you really just trying to feel out the first two? Did you know you had it in there?
Yeah, so our builds were more straight line focused because we feel like that's the best thing to have in a race. You can always make passes easier. And on tracks like Homestead, if you put all your eggs in one basket, then you're guaranteed to come away with points. And staying clean and getting those boosts for the last race helped that even more.
Yeah, I think another thing we thought was interesting is going into that, the three of us over here had the conversation that this could have been your guys' drop match. Not anymore, no.
Yeah, it's pretty close. I think the last round with Lazarus, we were in the 80s as well, but I think that will be our drop round in that case as long as week 6 goes well.
Lastly, before we let you go, one word to describe all three of your drivers here today, individually?
For lack of a better term, I'd say clutch. They all came out. I think right now we're the only team that has all three of their drivers with a victory in a race.
Yeah, cool. Congratulations.
Yeah. All right, thanks a lot, guys.
All right, enjoy the celebrations. Wow, clutch. What do you guys think about that?
That's a great gaming term for that. It is actually a clutch. And also, that's a stat that we didn't pick on, that Williams is the only team to have each driver win a race.
Well, Leja's won 9.
Yeah, but it's all been one person. I mean, come on. I mean, like, diversity.
Leish who is what?
You know, and also to add to that, they were looking for acceleration, that straight line speed. They were looking, talking to Roadrunner, they were looking at, like, trying to get their cars as light as possible and find that ratio of how light can we make it, but how much power can we also put into it as well? And it kind of paid out on the track.
Just survived those first 2 races, and they did.
Let's just soak this in, though. Let's just soak this in, right? Williams beat Red Bull.
And by the way, he didn't say straight away no or yes, this would be the drop match.
Can I just have a one shot on that?
Like, literally, they're considering.
Williams beat Red Bull. They're not invincible. Come on. Like, it opens the doors for other teams. Like, Lazarus can do it too. Sauber can do it too. Joe I believe they can do it, but they've got to get a good performance in next match.
Huge boost of confidence. Yeah. Has to be.
Yeah. You've broken the mold. You've broken the mold. You've clutched it. It opens the doors, I'm telling you. Watch it.
Send it. Well, okay, so we do have a poll for all of you back in the community, and this is a very big debate that happened earlier today.
Yes.
It is, and it's really important because it has nothing to do with muscle cars, but it does have something to do with cars. Before we kicked off the show, there was a big conversation about Lamborghinis and Porsches, and we're all curious to know, what do you guys think? Which one is better, a Porsche or a Lamborghini?
Lamborghini.
On track or off track? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's on track, in game, or in real life. You let us know. Make sure you vote on this poll during our break, and we're going to be announcing which one is better, according to each of us casters as well, when we come back here in just a bit. Get ready for match number 3 of round number 3 of week number 5 of the ForzaRC series here. Looking forward to seeing what kind of
Let's get it on. Let's go.
The Invitational Series 2019. We'll be right back with you.
Get on board here, race number 1 of the day. We're running down towards turn 1 with Sauber Zoom, and that hopped up hot rod is absolutely flying up towards T1. A little bit of a moment up ahead, a big moment. Williams, Mitch with the spin around, and that's the driver we were highlighting before this race. And only 2 corners separate him from the checkered flag box with a stunning performance here, Shay.
And look at how clean his car is. There's not a scratch on it. That will not need to go to the paint shop for a little bit of a TLC before the next round. Congratulations, Box, winner of race 1.
Well, Red Bull's strategy seems to be paying off, with Box taking the victory, and then behind him, Asics will roll across the line in 2nd place. Further down the field, Sauber Esports will be left scratching their heads a little bit, I think, Shay. get the feeling that if these two drivers get into each other, if they start really pushing each other, we could have Chris in this battle in no time at all.
Yeah, and especially if they start doing what they're doing right there, going side to side battling, taking the air off of one another. Now, you might be thinking, aerodynamics on these cars? Surely not, they're just large tanks.
Asics wants to come back as well, and this battle lighting on fire here on lap 6 of 11. Chris off the track, Siphon's back in with Sauber. Zoom now getting in on the action, and Zoom up to 5th place. Sauber, wow, locking out that 5th and 6th space of this battle here, Shay.
You gotta feel bad for Williams Mitch, though. It's a bit like watching what happens when you put, well, a sheep in a pen with a lion. You know it's gonna happen at some point. You really want to look away, you just can't.
The winner, that's RBR Box taking the win, but we're gonna stay here at least for a second to catch this final battle, the last run through the last corner.
Nope.
With Williams Mitch and Sauber Chemical. No joy.
Exit of the corner, and guess what? There's a wall there that you really don't want to get too far out to meet as Roadrunner gets hit. Who was that who hit him? It was Chris, as now they're 3 wide for the 10th spot, Allie.
Well, I wasn't even watching Chris wobbling around there because Venom threw it up the inside of 2 other drivers.
He loves racing. You know what's going to be the sweetest thing for Williams 7 though, Allie?
Go on.
The driver he least likes to race against? The one who won the first 2 races. So this is victory for Williams 7 and denies Red Bull an opportunity to sweep the match.
Okay, well, 2nd place will be Williams Mitch with Renault in 3rd.
We are back at the ForzaRC Invitational Series 2019. It's week 5. It's all about American muscle, and it's been a whole lot of fun so far to see these cars on tracks, see some of the battles develop, and some big surprises. Mellish, Flip Mode with me here, and I mean, this has been a turn of events, and I think there has been a couple of surprises along the way.
yeah, Red Bull taking off the mantelpiece. They've been taken off that first spot. They've been undefeated so far in this championship. And bam. And it's what more way can it be poetic than Williams did it? Because they not, obviously, remember in the King of the Hill format, they were, Williams made it into Group 2, then Red Bull beat them, and then Red Bull went across, and now they've gone together in a match again, and Williams have now come out on top. I kind of feel like there's some justice in that a little bit.
I still think Red Bull's done enough, though, to hold on to that *1 spot.
Can you not just ruin it for me? Like, let's just focus on the fact that Williams
Well, that
has
was
done a
the
great
battle
job,
for
right?
first,
I know
right?
we're going to present an argument, but just agree with me on that point.
I mean, he literally wanted a close-up shot of him saying this, that
Yes.
Red Bull can be defeated. Alert, a Red Bull can be defeated. So I really hope someone got that. Anyways, let's talk about the format and how this is all playing together into the bigger series in season here. And these teams are going for that $250,000. Let's take a look at how it all breaks out and shakes out here. At this point in time, as you can see, we are in round 3. We are in match number 3 of round number 3. That first one was played on October 12th. The second one was played earlier today. And now we are finishing up the final round. This, of course, then moves us on. This is all part of that week 5. And this is kind of showing how things have kind of come to be here at this point in the season.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got here, we're going to go into the final round of, well, the final match of round 3, and it's going to be really quite stacked, actually. I mean, Jota should win it, but there's 3 teams there fighting to get out of the automatic knockout spot and the last chance qualifiers. They're looking for that position in that week 7 round.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what I have enjoyed having Melish's voice and presence next to me. And there's his face.
Oh, God.
There he is. A great headshot,
Did they change that? Like,
No, that looks great. It looks fantastic. It looks just like you sitting right next to me.
I gave him like 7 shots.
Anyways, you make sure you join him for all of his insights, his wisdoms, his. Can someone get a picture of this Melish right here? This is good.
It looks pretty good. It's pretty good. You like it?
Make sure you join and check out that show, of course, breaking down what's happening in the ForzaRC all season long. You offer such great insights, such great wisdom. I know that both of you do, but it's been really fun to sit, side by side,
Yeah, and
having
You too, Kate.
Yeah, no, and you, Kate, you come along and you just,
come a long
prowess.
way.
Dominate the
I don't have my own
analyst, yes.
headshot here, but I've come a long way. All right, as it's time to take a look at some racing within this match number 3 of round number 3, we have some competitive teams, but definitely a few that really need to show up today if they want to stick out the rest of the season and join us for either that LCQ and or that LAN event.
Jota, I mean, this has got to be their matchup today. It's a favorable matchup, right?
I feel like they've been so unlucky, you know what I mean? Like, just Commando getting wrecked at Road America was like the epitome of Jota's journey so far. Going for that podium and ended up finishing dead last. They obviously, RZM did get a penalty, but it doesn't help Jota one bit, does it? They're still in that last chance qualified spot. They shouldn't be there.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they've been everywhere. Spins, crashes, podiums, wins.
Yeah.
They've done everything.
Well, as we know, guys, this is the battle for the bubble, and FRF is up first as we take a look at what drivers are actually on track. But this today, we talked about it last time. It was the battle of the big dogs. This particular part of the show is now battle of the bubble. What do we mean by that? Well, FRF has to show up.
48 points today. That is their goal. They need to reach THR. They need 48 points to do that. Can they do it? This is the fight for 7th spot.
And they've been averaging 50 points so much.
We have Handicap, we have Tesla, we have Bull, and of course, Solo King over there helping them out in their ears, in their phones, telling them, whatever coaches tell these guys.
Yeah, no, I mean, and Solo King's like in the same position that Zermatt's been in as well. He's a coach / driver. If they ever, in the event they ever need a sub.
Vamos lá, galerinha, voltei aí mais uma vez. Vamos falar aí FRF Handicap, FRF Tesla e FRF Bull com Kosh, FRF Solo King pra vocês aí, galera. É a equipe Fast Racers Forza chegando aí no RC Invitation. Tá aí Raging Dragons Esports, tá aí na 11ª posição. RDE Kami, RDE Hydra e RDE Chasmo com o Kosh aí, nosso querido Major Kirkov. Galerinha, RDE e FRF não iriam se enfrentar tão cedo, né? Tipo, as possibilidades deles se enfrentarem eram bem pequenas, mas com a desistência da equipe russa lá na segunda etapa, aí na segunda rodada da RC, né? Aconteceu que caiu RDE e FRF aí na mesma chave aí na 5ª rodada aí do ForzaRC, né? Eu vou ficar dividido aqui, eu vou ficar na torcida para as duas equipes terem um bom desempenho. Vou torcer tanto para RDE, tanto para FRF, né? E bora pra cima aí, galera do Brasil aí, torcer para ambas também. Ver a galera aí dar o melhor delas aí. Nessa bateria aí, eu acho que a FRF tem grandes chances aí, né? A equipe aí, Mordor Game Club, a equipe chinesa. Aí vocês podem ver que os pilotos são todos iguais, parecem irmãos gêmeos, né? O último ali até parece o Blackbird. Não é uma equipe que tem um desempenho muito grande assim, que pode oferecer algum risco aí para a FRF. Creio que também não pode oferecer risco para RDE, né? Creio que as duas equipes aí são mais fortes que elas. Porém, tem a próxima equipe aí, a última equipe que vai ser apresentada. Se eu já falo qual que é, vou esperar aparecer para me ter certeza, para me falar o nome certinho deles para vocês, né? A gente vê aí os 3 pilotos chineses da MGC, Tiki Pisa, Mango e J-Rich 921, né? A outra equipe é a J Esports. A equipe J Esports tem como coche o Craviator. Craviator é um baita piloto, um baita tunador. Creio que ele fez um diferencial aí pra galera. Comando, grande piloto também, mas nessa classe baixa creio que o comando vai passar um pouquinho mal. Já o Soul e o Bowcat, nas classes baixas eu não sei falar do desempenho deles, mas, né, a gente sabe que a J é uma equipe muito forte, vem aí na 7ª posição com 144 pontos, então é a equipe que a FRF tem que ficar para conseguir se classificar aí na 7ª posição. Então a FRF depende muito aí da pontuação dos pilotos deles hoje aí, do grande evento deles, né? Então tá aí, Boquete, Soult e Comando. Comando a gente sabe que é um grande piloto, Craviator também. Então tá aí, galera, Mordor Game Club, né? Fast Racers Forza, Raging Dragons Esports e a J, né? A gente vê que a J e a FRF é as equipes que tem que é a equipe aí com mais pontuações. E o circuito vai ser Road America, Long Beach e Sebring, galera. Road America e Sebring vai ser bem tranquilo. Agora Long Beach aí, o piloto que tiver dificuldade, que bater, que rodar, vai ter muito problema aí para alcançar os ponteiros. Então a gente tá aí na torcida pra galera. Agradeço demais o pessoal que tá acompanhando e bora pra cima. Vou deixar a transmissão oficial do ForzaRC para vocês aí. Qualquer coisinha, fala no chat aí que a gente responde. Andrei Cosmo perguntou o que eles ganham nesses eventos. Andrei Cosmo, além da experiência que eles ganham, né, tem uma premiação legal aí para os pilotos que se classificarem aí para a reta final do evento. Com certeza é um prêmio bem legal, um prêmio bem atrativo aí, tirando o reconhecimento da equipe, né, no cenário do automobilismo virtual dentro do Forza Motorsport, né? Roger Amorim, Gu FRF, tamo junto, Roger, abração aí. As tunagens que você tá fazendo pro Blackout Performance lá, tá de parabéns, cara, excelente tunagem, os carros estão ficando muito bom. Eu fiz lá o do Zoom, esse final de semana também vou procurar fazer o do Wesley aí, tá? Cara, EBR Alex Paiva, quem corre agora é RDE, FRF, MGC e J, beleza? Tamo junto, Alex Paiva, abração. Já a gente volta, galerinha.
Corn, like on a cob, you
Right.
can just buy a thing of corn
Yeah.
and then just start eating it right there.
Feel like
you don't need
a little
butter.
bit of indigestion might be on the cards after that, Shay. Now that we're revisiting it, I think we can dig into that a little
Well,
bit.
Road America, great track. We've basically cut out turn 6. It is turn 6 through 14. You jump in at turn 5, and this track, which was built in 1955. But we all know the track. Let's take a look at the grid, shall we?
Let's get to the grid. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting first race here. You got to keep in mind that Road America, we didn't see the map for it just there, but it's the west route, and so you're going to get a very short run down towards what's normally the back straight, the kink in the back straight, and that can be a really difficult place to go 2 cars wide.
It really can be, and you're cutting out this long front straight, so you don't have to worry about the dive down into turn 1. I mean, I think for the MGC guys, they would have to start braking pretty much at the exit of turn 14 to get slowed down for 1, so it's a really good thing we're not doing that course. But it does still have...
Pessoal, vocês que estão aí acompanhando a transmissão, hoje eu tô falando bem pouco, pessoal, eu tô sozinho aqui. Eu prefiro deixar que eles aí tomem conta do evento, que eles passem para você aí com melhor precisão, apesar de ser tudo em inglês, ser bem difícil de compreender, mas eu creio que vocês têm uma noção muito melhor. E o áudio original é muito melhor do que eu estar falando por cima aqui, que a minha voz é feia, a minha narração é feia, meus comentários não são totalmente precisos, mas tamo junto, galerinha, se precisar é só chamar.
Excuse me. Here we've got Hydra on the front row of the grid, Shay.
Hydra with the boost, too, in the Plymouth Fury. Now, this is the car that Box took to wins in the first 2 races in the last round, so he did have success with the Plymouth, but it was only Box running the Plymouth in the first round. We'll have to see if Hydra can do the same in this one.
Okay, third on the grid, third seeded team is FRF. We've got Handicap leading the way for that team, but further back, the ever-impressive Bull in the mid-pack.
I'm very pleased to see Handicap in the Mercury. That's been the strongest car out of all of the Hot Rod Revival classifications of cars. Handicap stands for a really good race and potentially a race win.
Okay, and before we jump on to the final team, we should note that FRF not running their boost.
Yeah.
Same case here for Mordor Gaming Club, who have put all of their eggs in one mango.
In one mango basket, one mango flavored basket. I can't touch mango, actually. I'll tell you more about that later.
We can
not this mango, just the fruit in general. But he is running the lightest car is mango, as opposed to the car starting at the back of the field with the worst brakes in Chic Pizza, the heaviest car in the Barracuda. Starting 12th, if I'm in 11th, 10th, 9th, 8th, or 7th, I'm quite afraid of that Barracuda.
Right, well, we've got a fascinating matchup, especially at the front of this grid, and that's Jota South, who's going to be side by side with Hydra. It'll be interesting to compare those two drivers for a second, Shay, before we get into the race.
Yeah.
We've got both of them, I think, running boosts out there, which is going to make them very close to each other on track speed.
It is, and when you consider the two of them, Hydra is a young Irish kid, 15 years old, and then you've got South, a young Scottish kid. So that could be a little bit of flagrancy going on at that part of the grid.
Well, that's
Speaking
right.
as a Scot.
Okay,
Yep.
all right.
Yep.
With this, we're going to draw some lines down here right now. I'm going to make a little tiny wall, a little tiny Hadrian's
Man, that has
wall,
taken way too long.
To be honest, yeah, we've always been crashing towards this moment. I
obviously,
think,
yeah.
It's always been about that. Right, let's get ready for the start of the next race. Get yourself into that Road America vibe. We're sitting on the grid just in the exit to the carousel and looking forward down the road toward the kink. That's where the cars are running right now. We're on board with Chic Pizza, who's coming from the rear of this pack. You can see up ahead, little puff of smoke. I'm looking on the outside there for anyone caught out in turn 1. We're all good on the way through, but that's 4 wide up ahead. And some very daring driving there from Jay Rich, who we're on board with. One of the drivers who we know doesn't have those strong race brakes, and I'm just on the edge of my seat as we exit the corner. Mango with a big spin and 2 cars on the outside. That's Hydra and Handicap both off the track on the exit to Canada corner. And all change at the front of this race then, Shay, with 2 of our drivers already off the track.
That was a terrible moment there for Mango, but a great one in terms of Jay Rich. He was up into 4th as everybody goes crashing into each other, coming through what was turn 5, and now they're on the back portion of the track. They go underneath the Corvette corner bridge, and then they'll come back out of turn 6 as it normally is, and then looking ahead to the carousel.
Just up ahead, Chic Pizza files back in. South and Bokit, though, continue to battle it out. Chic Pizza does well to save that one. Right at the front of this field, it might be worth jumping on board with Bokit and South. South here on the carousel right now, leading this race. And just hooking up that corner is back of that car. Shay looking absolutely pristine.
Yeah.
Happy to see that.
That's not something we've seen a lot of today in general.
Not at all.
Clean cars is, Joda South with the great start. So right now, Scotland is winning. Go Scotland. Yeah, Joda South, who is a very clean driver. He's very popular amongst the forums, and he's a student of motorsport engineering at the University of Derby. You know where that is?
England.
There you go.
Right, we've got 1, 2, and 4 for Jota. You can see the 1 and 2. That's top, middle, and bottom left. Ooh. It's that 4 though, which right now is under a little bit of threat from Hydra as he siphons on through. That's going to make the difference in points here for Jota. It's Commando who's going to have to button up. He's going to have to get his lines absolutely perfect because it looks like that car is a little bit underpowered compared to his teammates, hasn't quite had the resources put into it that the other cars have, and it's going to make a little bit of a challenge here for Commando.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Commando, who was coming in the Camaro, as we can see now, he's under pressure from FRF Tesla. That's not going to be a battle that goes away very easily for Commando. But 27 years old, he's known as a bit of a one-lap wonder, Ali. That's sort of been his reputation coming into this year. So sitting back in 5th position, normally you'd say 5th position, yay! But when you're 5th and both your teammates are ahead of you, it's, ooh.
That's right. Commando doing the best he can with the equipment he's got, and Chasmo, Tesla, Battle we're on board with here for 6th, will both have their eyes forward. You can always trust a good racing driver to sense when a car ahead is a little weak, when they're maybe have a chance of getting by.
Smell the blood in the water sort of thing?
That sort of thing.
Yeah, like Jaws. That's exactly what happens actually with race car drivers. They can tell when a car isn't handling properly. They can tell when they've got an opportunity. But just a quick shout out, Raging Dragons Esports, they're in 3rd and 4th right now. So we're talking about how great Jota's doing in 1st and 2nd. Well, we didn't really expect Raging Dragons to be 3rd and 4th. That's a really good effort so far from them.
Fantastic.
And
Hydra leading the way, and Cami in 4th place. That's super strong. RDE with a great performance here, and really, Shay, this is a great opportunity for a few of the different teams out there. Yeah, it's a great opportunity for Jota, who get maybe their easiest round and maybe their best chance at accruing big points and challenging the other teams. But amongst these mid-pack teams, RDE, FRF, Mordor Gaming Club as well, it's a chance to shine and a chance to show what you can do against teams who are maybe a little closer.
Exactly. I mean, the first week that we saw Fast Racers Forza compete, the Brazilian team, we weren't expecting very much from them because we didn't really know them, and some of their builds were questionable. Well, they wowed all of us with a very strong performance for their first outing. Now is another opportunity for them to come out and say, hey, we are not a last chance qualifier. We don't deserve to be down here. We're better than that, and that is what they have to take advantage of. Unfortunately for them, Jota and Raging Dragons Esports are the ones we're talking about right now because they hold the top 5 positions.
Taking a more sort of global outlook on this and looking at the leaderboard as it is after these, first 3 rounds of competition, THR are right now on 153 points, I think, and they're really the standard to beat for these teams. So they're all looking for if they can get ahead of THR, they can push THR back into that bubble and maybe secure their space in the final. That's
another part about being a racing driver. More so for the coaches to think about, though, Ali. Sensing the blood in the water for a weaker team as Hydra makes a very questionable dive down the inside of Boket. I don't know how I feel about that. That was for the 2nd position, though, so that was very important in terms of the points.
Let's check out the first corner of this race as well. Another moment with lots of action. We've got a replay of that. We're on board with Jay Rich, just Canada corner just after the start of the race. Look to the outside here, you see Mango spinning first, but also Hydra and Handicap getting way onto the outside of the circuit. We're jumping on board ahead now with one of the Raging Dragon cars, and that's, wow, that was as close as you like to ending their races. Just managed to get away with it. This is Hydra on the outside getting stuck into Handicap and both of those cars off the track. So lots and lots of chaos there in lap 1, and a little moment to assess it all. I think some penalties will be handed out there, though.
Yeah, and understandably for that sort of racing there. Canada corner is one of the best corners in all of motorsport, and I say that completely unbiased, not because I want to be Canadian or anything, but because the exit of the corner, there's enough of a runoff before you actually hit a gravel trap. So you've got an opportunity to make a mistake at the exit of corner until about now, and then you would be in the gravel if you were completely off the track at that point. it gives drivers enough of an opportunity, but not enough of an opportunity to necessarily recover from it.
It's an awesome corner, and you come in with such speed on this version of the track and on the main track, as well as Commando and Cammy rubbing with each other. It's a risky kind of a move, that in these types of car, because you can see how it pivots the car off against itself. Commando with a surprise lunge there, playing peekaboo with Cammy over the crest of that left-hander. Gets on the inside, but I think Cammy will see him off through the right. Commando hangs in there, and that's Tesla now joining the action, and Chasmo as well.
What?
We've got a battle on here in the mid-pack. We run through the middle section of this race, lap 5 of 10, and we're fighting for 4th place. Tesla wants it round the outside of the carousel, and I think he can have it. No one else is interested in that line at all.
No one's interested in that line because it doesn't work. Look at that. He went from fighting for 4th to now 9th position as Commando had some side-to-side contact with Cammy and got knocked backwards. Now they're back in 7th and 8th. That didn't work.
Tesla then files back in, licks his wounds, thinks to himself, all right, maybe it wasn't, maybe round the outside of the carousel was a little bit optimistic. But next time round, I'm sure I can make it work.
No, Ali, he needs a physics lesson if he thinks you can make it work around the outside of the carousel. Not even Juan Pablo Montoya can make that move work.
He's the standard. He's the standard for making it work around the outside.
Well, yeah, he and Shane Van Gisbergen, they don't understand physics, and they just don't care if something can't work. They're going to do it anyway and try and pull it off. And that's what we just saw from Tesla in that bold move. The 25-year-old who's driving idle is Senna. That was a Senna-esque move. It just didn't pay off.
Okay, well, this battle has filed back into an orderly queue. The cars all taking a moment, saying, all right, lap 5 was crazy, guys. That was great. That was off the hook. We gotta dial this back a little bit, otherwise we're all gonna get into trouble. We saw Chasmo just sneak through into 4th place on Cammy there, and Cammy now sinking back into the horns of Bull, who's looking around the outside and trying to set up for something at the carousel. Cammy covers the line and just about holds on to 5th for another time of asking through the carousel, as these guys run round to start lap number 7.
Cammy might be a little bit better of a defensive driver to try and hold back Bull than Chasmo was. He's 28 years old versus his teammate, 12 years his younger. That's a big age difference between the RDE teammates. And then you've got Bull, who's 20 years old from Brazil, who is, quote, willing to do anything to win, unquote. So that's a bit of a dangerous, potent combination.
The 2 RDE drivers doing a great job, as
Chasmo
spoke too soon. Chasmo very wide there at Canada. He will recover the car and get it back on track, up to racing speed before he gets in too much trouble. But Commando's back. He wants another piece of this and another try. It's going to be round the outside here through the little kink. This is the section that separates us from the main circuit, brings us back around. What would normally be turn 5 of the main track. We come back onto the circuit, and that's Tesla up the inside. Commando on the short end of that once again, finding himself wide off the track and back, having to fight his way up from 8th. Commando with a little bit of a tough first race here.
Commando, just let me give you a little bit of knowledge for your side. Road America employ wonderful people. They've got a full staff to cut the grass. They don't need you to do it for them. So you can keep it on the pavement. It's okay. You'll go faster that way, I promise.
Bull continues to be thwarted by Cammy. I've got to say, Cammy's done a great job here for a couple of laps now of running rear gunner for Chasmo. Holding this pack up, separating them out a little bit, and saying to Chasmo, all right, you run, you take the points, think well of me, remember me well, and I'll hold them back as much as I can.
Just make a statue in my honor. It's okay. Yeah,
That's right.
Well, Cammy running in the Camaro and Chasmo in the Nova, they put most of their points coming into this race, most of their PI, towards Hydra in the Plymouth Fury. Where is Hydra? Oh yeah, 2nd, so that kind of worked for them.
Well, let's keep in mind that Hydra got past into 2nd with a little bit of a bullying move. I think it's certainly one that we're going to see the adjudication team taking a look at later on. It was that clout up the inside past past Bokic, excuse me. And so I've always got a little bit of a question mark when I see Hydra there in 2nd.
So
bit of a naughty boy this time.
2nd, 4th, and 5th then for the RDE team. That's not a bad showing so far today. Even if he does get a penalty and he's dropped down to 3rd, that would be 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and then they get that running order boost. So hey, come on, bring on the penalty.
That's right. We'll take the booster upgrade afterwards. You've got to keep in mind that if the drivers finish in order on the track, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, however it happens to be, if they're all next to each other, then they do get 2 boost upgrades at the end of the match for having fulfilled an in-race feat.
Going under the Johnsonville sign, another one of the fine foods that you can find around Road America. See, Allie, you just have to come up to the track up in Elkhart Lake. Oh, you say that now. You've not experienced Road America. It's another one of those tracks that's very, very good with the elevation changes. You really get a feel from that from turn 14 up to the start-finish line. We're not getting that in this version of the track, but you can tell it's racing through a park. There's trees everywhere. You breathe better at this track. And I don't often say you breathe better when talking about a racetrack. Normally it's a little bit more polluted.
That's right, a little bit of brake dust in the air, a little bit of tyre smoke here and there. Someone no stranger to tyre smoke this race is FRF Bull, who's been following Cammy through and finally having a little bit of bad luck here with his teammate Tesla up his inside. Commando's going to take advantage and do 2 FRF drivers in one corner. Commando, his luck finally shifting, the clouds parting, and through he goes up and into 6th position. Commando, I think, will be like a limpet now and will hold on to that position with everything he can.
Remember how I said rule number 1 is don't hit your teammates? FRF, that's why you don't hit your teammate, because you open the door for somebody else to come through. And guess what? You guys just lost points because of that move. Commando right now, very happy about that move, putting him up into the 6th position, which means Jota would be 1st, 3rd, and 6th. Yeah, 1st, 3rd, and 6th.
It's going to be a great run from Jota here. Either way, we know they've got that 2 cars on the podium at least, and Commando is the difference maker. Just trying to do the best that he can with maybe a little bit less PI invested into his cars, a little bit less intrinsic speed in that vehicle, but he's doing a fantastic job with it, and it's been very enjoyable to watch as well as he's wrestled and fought and shoulder barged his way through. Now with a sniff on Cammy in the final lap, he's looking up the inside at Canada. He's going to release the brakes and be up the inside. Cammy getting wobbly on the outside there, and Commando wants it. Not quite perfect just yet, not through, but it looks like Commando's going to make that one stick.
No, and that's a critical move for Kami, because of course we know that that pass that Hydra made, not necessarily the cleanest, so that eliminates right there any possibility of them getting 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Cammy and Tesla getting caught up with each other on the final lap. Cammy held on for so long. That's so disappointing. Let's check in with our leader. Let's check in with someone who's had a little bit more good luck out here on track, and that's Jota South. Running through the carousel, he's miles away from anyone, and he is going to win this race and take that 20 points for Jota. Beautiful job from him. 2nd place in this race, I believe, will be Hydra, although that one may go to the stewards after the race. His collision with Bokit looked a little bit fishy to me, and then further down that field, Commando will be counting his blessings up to 5th as he runs it towards the line.
The racing gods were smiling on Commando today, no doubt about that. Hydra will wait and find out if finishing 2nd on the track means he finishes 2nd in the race, or if there's a little bit of, conversation to come from that.
I think there's going to be more than a little bit of conversation from
Do you know? Do you?
I think there might be 1 or 2 people with an opinion on that overtake, Shay.
No.
Yeah, it feels that way to me.
Oh, well, if you have an opinion, please go on Twitter. Please go in Twitch. Let us know, because we love hearing from you guys.
All right, well, an awesome first race there, Shay, in our 2nd match of the day. And a pretty decent points haul, I think, for Jota, it's fair to say. Further back down that field, though, how surprising were RDE?
They were fantastic. They're the story of this match so far for me, because we didn't expect them to be able to be that competitive necessarily. We thought it was going to be the Jota show. And if Jota screwed up, somebody else might come into play. Jota didn't screw up, and RDE still stepped up, so that was a really good performance. FRF were still there and thereabouts. Maybe we'll see more from them, but they still had a little bit too much contact. And then Mortar, we had Mango get taken out on lap 1.
That's right.
What could have been?
That's what happens when you put all your eggs in one Mango,
Yep.
and it slides off the track.
It gets squashed.
There is so much more to be said about that first race, and I can't wait to get all the insight from our pundits.
What on earth is about mangoes being smashed, Allie? What?
I didn't get what he said.
I do love mangoes, and I'm just not entirely sure if you put mangoes in baskets and all that jazz. Anyways, there was a lot to dissect, though, in that overall, and I think it was I think initially it was a little different than maybe we had expected. What are your thoughts?
Well, we kind of pitched it as Jota versus FRF. Jota in that 7th spot, FRF looking to take that 7th spot, and that was really the battle that we were kind of predicting. Didn't turn out that way. FRF was certainly battling, but it was RDE that was a shock surprise for us. Come away, they were looking strong for a 2nd, a 4th, and a 5th. Provision, well, it was, and then Cammy got involved with the FRF guys and, yeah, blew away all the way down the back of the pack somewhere, 9th. But that was a great start from Raging Dragon Esports.
Huge start. I mean, this is a team that, before coming into this match, was only ahead of MGC in the season standings. That's it. So, not much to look and be proud of so far this season. This is their best performance. Of course, there was a lot of action.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of FRR penalties, so I think it's going to change.
Yeah, what we're saying right now can probably completely change by the time the graphics come up.
Well, okay, what we do know is that South had a great run there.
He did.
Yes.
And that the head-to-head, that I think there's a battle with Hydra and South here, that kind of having this conversation, I think obviously is, this was, of course, stats were before this race at this point in time, but we know that South really showed, I mean, in chat here, it's Go On South by Venom, and, you know, obviously getting some support for that run.
Yeah, obviously Venom and South actually getting into it last week, do you remember that? Not bad at Indianapolis. Yeah, but they're great teammates, and I actually agree with Venom. South's always been the guy that's had the no PI. He's always at the back of the pack, giving him a portion of the PI. Not all of it, but a portion of it. Great result. That early lead plus the boost led to that victory for him.
Hydra was the fastest car on track today, and he also has the most PI. He's got 23 more PI than South does.
Yeah.
So
and
Hydra,
Interesting.
Yeah.
And he got the fastest lap in qualifying.
And he got the fastest lap.
So that was a great result there for Hydra. Thing for me about Hydra, questionable overtake on Bokit. They called it when it happened. It was more of a dive bomb and using them as a wall. That's questionable for me personally, but let's see how that plans out.
Well, I think this is an important thing to watch. Obviously, Hydra here doing what he's doing. And I think as we know what he has now, I mean, we saw what was before this race. We saw him now in the race.
Smashed mangoes.
And there goes that smashed mango.
It was a really tough first corner. It seems that, you know, in this round, that the first corners have been really dictating the story, especially in the first race of both matches. Here we can see, I think it's, who is that? That's Cammy, and who is that? I can't see.
Chasma.
I'm really blind. That's Chasma. So actually great teamwork there for Raging Dragon Esports. The Nova, clearly the car to choose if you're not going to invest PI into it. So great job there.
Chasma, provisional 4th.
I do want to add too, Cammy just came on chat saying, wow, with a couple of O's. He did have that drop down at the end of that event, and obviously he was running pretty quick and pretty, I mean, consistent there in that race, and of course then Cammy had...
It's very hard to kind of extract emotions out of Cammy, so it must have been something pretty bad to get...
Cammy, what was it? Let us know. I see you in chat. Let us know what you're chatting about, what a couple of O's there in that wow was. But I think another thing that happened in that, and chat picked up on it. I have a couple. Commando is the unluckiest bloke on the planet from Entice. On the back end of that, he has a whole lot of support. I'm reading it here. Dan Cerber says, get it, Mando. And Matt6661 says, go on, Commando. So obviously it's interesting that he had some serious support throughout that entire event.
Commando's got no PI. So he's not going to win any races today. He just needs to beat the cars in his class. Is he beating Cammy? Is he beating Tesla? And he did. Well, he's got some FRR penalties to take, so I don't think he's going to actually beat them, but he beat them on track.
Well, and that's kind of the story for me. It's like we're watching this, like, you know, he's splitting the FRF pair. It was great action from Commando, but then you see he's got 5 seconds of FRR penalties. And you know, he probably didn't mean to get that, but that, you know, that second corner bustle really kind of maybe led to that.
Maybe he had to just go off track.
And I feel bad for the guy. I do. I genuinely empathize with him because he just cannot catch a break. Like. He just should just give all the PI to his teammates, and he just plays this like third role.
He got his win though. He got his win. Maple Valley.
Hold on. As we take a look at you know, the results and what we have going, I do want to continue this conversation and say, is it unlucky? Is it being bullied? I mean, we heard Ali mention bully there. You mentioned it, or is it unlucky? As we kind of
this track's narrow, and these cars are real big, so this is a tough.
But he had the all-round cars, so he knows he could have done better. In pace, we know Commando's got the pace. There's no question of that. It's just opportunity at the right time. Just being in the wrong place at the wrong time just leads to Commando. It's literally Commando, no one else.
All right, guys. As we continue on, because there is so much to talk about in that race, let's at least take a look at the results and see, you know, as it shakes down, because...
Hydra, 8 seconds of penalties.
Wow.
I guess it didn't matter. He holds on to second place.
Wow, so no penalties. no FRR penalties? Or was that
No, Hydra has 8 seconds of FRR penalties, so I guess they did not like that pass.
No.
And then Cammy, 5 seconds of penalties.
Yeah, and then Commando switching up. So good news there for Commando. But look what this means for FRF and MGC. This is what you want to be looking at. Both getting the consecutive finishes, a perfect form.
And I believe a clean sweep.
Who's got the clean sweep?
FRF.
How on earth did they get a clean sweep?
I don't know. There had no FRR pen. I have to take a second look at that, but they certainly got perfect form.
Really?
Certainly got perfect form.
So they could really.
Wow, yeah.
Right here, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, they've already banked their first boost from the first race.
So they have 3 boosts total. They will have
Yeah.
3. If they banked that one and they just earned one in that race with finishing in consecutive positions, 5, 6, 7, they're going to get it. South, Bokit, doing their job.
I mean, for me, it's great for South and Bokit. You're looking at 32 points there between the two. Obviously, add on what Commando's made as well, but really, I feel they're going to be overshadowed in this next race because the way that this is played out, FRF maybe didn't get the points they wanted from race 1, but they got a ton of boost. And so did MGC. I can't wait to see Cheap Pete's on that freight train.
Look at this here, Heart Charger, Chasmo, he got a boost. So everyone's getting boosts around here.
Well, remember, guys, this is all playing a bigger part to the bigger story here, which is we are battling for the bubble, on the bubble. Right now, this is important, and as we see the match points here and the match results, this again is going to be critical because they are all in such. It's not anymore. They're not playing right now for the final.
Yeah.
They are playing to continue on in the season.
And for me, I'm kind of like maybe apprehensive here because this is the pattern that we saw in the match earlier on today. Is that Red Bull Racing had a great start, but they ended up second in the match.
Right.
Are we going to see a repeat performance here? Is Raging Dragon Esports going to take that top spot? They've got the boost, so do FRF and so do MGC right now. So
everyone's got boosts.
Our Joe3 Sports going to finish
We know
on top.
anything can happen on any given day in racing, and that's what's super cool about it. But at the same time, you just never know. And we saw in the last, the last match, and I think we could see a little something in there too.
This next race is going to be a lot harder for Jota. If everyone else has boosts, and they have a lot of them, they should start using them. While Jota doesn't have one.
Sure.
And they don't really have that alpha pack, so they can't really compensate because they don't have 20 PI invested in one car. They split it up, and the fact that they spent some of that PI on race brakes when it should have been put on performance parts. There was some miscalculations in the Jota builds. They recognize this. They feel that they're the underdogs. So are Williams though, and they came out on top. So I feel that they're in a good position, but to maintain that is going to be incredibly difficult.
All right, as we continue on this, and again, we can talk about this stuff all day, but I want to go back to that poll. Thank you to everyone who joined in our fun, because this is an important thing to know. Although we are talking muscle cars today, everyone loves a good, solid, exotic, and/or...
Fazendo aí, galerinha, breve comentário para vocês aí sobre essa primeira corrida aí da equipe FRF. A equipe FRF não pontuou muito bem, a gente viu que a RDE tirou ali 9 pontos ali da diferença que estava da FRF. Mas eu achei um pouquinho os pilotos afoitos aí, a gente viu o acidente ali com um carro na classe baixa aí, né? Falta de cuidado, de atenção um pouco dos pilotos também. Nossa, eu tô cansado, galera. Outra coisa, a FRF agora vai tirar a carta da manga, né? A FRF tem 5 boosts, né? Para quem não conhece o boost, é uma peça-chave aí que a galera pode usar para ter um pouquinho a mais de potência, né? O que fez eles ganharem esse boost? Corrida limpa, né? E chegou na sequência os pilotos aí, a gente viu o quarto, quinto e sexto, ou quinto, sexto e sétimo, não lembro muito bem. Isso daí gerou para eles aí também mais um boost. Então eles vão usar 2 boosts agora e vão deixar 3 boosts para a próxima corrida, galera. Então a FRF aí com grandes chances aí de andar muito bem, de chegar forte aí na frente aí. Vamos ficar na torcida aí para a galera da FRF, para a galera da RDE, né? E bora pra cima aí. Tamo junto, galerinha. Daqui a pouquinho a gente tá de volta aí com mais notícias sobre o ForzaRC.
Watching cars bustle, like squeeze together around that fountain and that very tight technical circuit is going to be absolute joy for me.
Nowhere to go.
There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go. If you start at the front
up.
or you're right at the back. Yeah, they may go up.
Long Beach, it's such a great track. So many wonderful events have been there. The Grand Prix, you have Drift there, you have IMSA. Formula E, you have IMSA. It's such an awesome, those people who have the apartments right by there, I am so sorry for you because it must be loud, but it's so epic. By the way, Shay, as I hand it over to you guys casters, you got a hashtag Team Shay from Mateo Max out there on chat, so I think he's with us on the Porsche.
Oh, we've got a Lamborghini versus Porsche vote going on. I'm all about. I love a Southern Lamborghini. Is what I like.
You like the Italian sports cars. Is how
Italian sports vehicle.
Just keep working on your duck lyrics. It's okay. You got Daffy and Donald to incorporate in there
It's
somehow.
gonna be such a great song.
It's in terms of a street car, we should say. Like, that's where the discussion came from. What kind of street car would you buy if you just had all the money? And we were talking about the fact that I was staring at bringatrailer.com for way too long yesterday, staring at Porsches. And yeah, Mellish pretty much said, no, I would never buy a Porsche. I want something a little bit more ostentatious.
That's right. He really did say the correct thing there. You're right. We can check out the track now, though.
Yay! Let's go to Long Beach.
I didn't think you were going to let me do that.
All right, so coming down to Long Beach, it's not too far from here. Should we go? Should we just go now, Alec?
Let's go.
Just
It's
go
right down
actually.
the road.
Yeah, it's just under 2 miles long. You've got the famous aquarium, which Ali had no idea existed. He asked me if there was a building shaped like a fish.
Now, what is an aquarium?
I will explain it to you later in little words with only 2 syllables. The first race here was in 1975. You've got that wicked hairpin at the end of the track, and the first corner is the fountain turn. You're down by the shops in through there. You go down Shoreline Boulevard. It's just such a wonderful place. And like Kate was saying on the desk, it really does make you filled with sympathy for the people who have apartments there if they are not race fans, because for about 12 hours a day, you're getting nothing but the sound of wonderful roaring engines on the streets of Long Beach.
Well, what is the main differences for you, Shay, between Road America and Long Beach?
Oh, it couldn't be more different. Road America is a purpose-built racetrack. It's smooth. It's got lots of area in case you happen to go off the track. Look what happened at Canada Corner. Long Beach, no forgiveness. You've got 2 runoff areas, really, if you need them, but guess what? They're still streets. You've got a lot of bumps in it because it is a lot of different streets just sort of strung together almost haphazardly in their own way to form this circuit. It's wonderful, though. I love it. A long, curving front straight that's not straight at all. It's just such a magical place to come to, and the weather's always good. So there's that, too.
All right, let's check out the grid. It's that long, curving straight that Shay was talking about where they'll be lined up, and Bokit will take that pole position. Jota electing to place Bokit on their pole position spot. They're given that based on their points after race number 1. And no boost on this team.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting start for Bokit. He does sit in the driver's seat in terms of how this goes with that best position. But they are in trouble. They're the only team not running a boost for this race.
All right, well, the second team on this grid is RDE, and Hydra, up there in second place, will have the benefit of that boost. So he will have a little bit of extra squirt under his right foot and the ability to push forward. Chasmo in 6th and Cami 10th, excuse me, will be struggling to follow along. We've got 3rd place team FRF next on the grid, and that's Handicap with Bull and Tesla behind. And then MGC will be the 4th seeded team on that grid.
Handicap and Bull both with grids from FRF, and Hydra with the boost starting in that 2nd place. This is Hydra's race to lose. As far as MGC goes, it's Mango once again that they have put their faith in. They've put all their Mango in a basket and decided that he's going to be their best chance at it. But again, that run down to the first turn, it's fast, and it's going to be hard for all the MGC cars to get slowed up.
All right, well, here we are taking a look at that basket full of mangoes. That is the MGC strategy here. Of course, what we're talking about there is how the team have chosen to allocate their PI before the race, build up these cars, but also how they've chosen to deploy their boost upgrades. Single-use PI bonuses that they can give to their different drivers and really make their cars a little faster. They've been so important so far today, Shay.
They really have been. That's been the difference maker for the drivers in Road America in the first race, but also for all 3 of the races that we saw to start the day. Really is the boost upgrades. It seems to be that undeniable advantage for all the drivers.
Very cool indeed. We're going to take a look at 2 drivers who we're been curious to compare. Bull led the way for FRF in the previous race, and it was a great performance from the FRF team as well. And Commando was really at the back of the Jota team. So these 2 drivers actually, because of that, are pretty close to each other on track, sharing a lot of space.
Yeah, but interesting contributions to the team regardless of the fact where they were on the track, because 34% of the team points have come from both, 38% from Commando. This seems to me like today, Commando is stepping back into a minor role to give his teammates better opportunity.
Well, it's a very close split between those percentages, and it's going to be fascinating to see how they work out. We're starting this race with that man, Jota Commando, who had such a tumultuous time at Road America. We're just comparing him to Bull before the race, and now we can see what he does in his first run through Long Beach. A little bit of a tap from behind. It looks like Commando's going to be able to keep out the wall. I mean, I say a little bit because he wasn't in the next county. I'm so used to seeing cars fly off at T1 and seeing them make it through okay. Wasn't too bad. Jay Rich, though, rallying over that fountain.
I've seen drivers try to do that before and try to trim the hedges there, but that was a really solid effort from Jay Rich 921 as he does manage to keep 4 wheels on the pavement, at least recovering. As Mango's dropped back into 7th, and South is right there with him in 6th.
Wow, look at the power of that Mercury. The second he gets his foot down, just disappears into the next region. Mango, again though, crashing at the start of the race, and I'm starting to wonder whether the pressure that MGC are putting on him is too much for him to carry.
Jota's in 8th and 9th right now though too, so it's been a bad start for MGC and for Jota. Clearly both of the drivers that have been invested in so heavily for these teams, South and Mango, struggling a bit as we come onto the back straight. This portion of the track alley so bumpy as it is just normal street pavement, but the grip there starts to pick up.
Well, we've got a battle for the lead here. Handicap round the outside of the last corner, and Bokit is defending. Handicap on the offensive. Handicap with the advantage of the boost. Will get the power down, will put the squirt down, and he's not finished. He's going to make that move happen down the front straight, round the outside of that shallow curve, and Handicap up into the lead of race number 2. Beautiful run there from Handicap, and a well-deserved lead for FRF, who are really poised to do something shocking here in the second race. So many boost upgrades they won in race 1, set them up amazing for race 2.
First, 4th, and 12th for FRF right now as Bokit is looking at the back of Handicap. Not going to have an opportunity for a pass attempt for a little bit longer because, well, there's not a place on the track where he has an advantage without a boost upgrade.
A little bit further down the field, we've got 5th and 4th. That's Mango and Chasmo side by side through the back of this circuit. Get on board with Mango now, and you can see him using the power of that Mercury coupe to get up alongside and past Chasmo. But you just got to wait for any kind of moment when the track isn't a straight line, and RDE's driver will have a chance once again.
Yeah, but unfortunately, there's just enough of a straight before they come back around onto a very long straight line. Mango does manage to get through, and now he easily cruises away.
It's going to disappear up the road, Mango. That car is just filled to the brim with upgrades. Unbelievable to have it boosted and all that PI on it, as well as Jota come along and start bullying Chasmo. The Jota drivers here, well, putting him into a very much a panini.
Yes, I would say that that's a panini. It looks quite appetizing too. This portion of the track alley has so much grip on it that even when you walk on it on tennis shoes, you find your feet are a little bit reluctant to come back up because that's where the Formula Drift cars run, and man, do they leave a lot of rubber. Now we're onto the front straight. All of this area is the pits for the Indy cars, but that ends here. You've got a little bit of a gap, and now the IMSA pits start. And then you've got the IMSA pits until, well, the King Taco Bridge. So there is a nice little bit of space for everybody. There's room for everybody to come and play here at Long Beach.
Well, I'll tell you when there isn't room for everybody, and that's at the race start. We've got a replay of lap number 1 right now that we can check out, and how the cars filtered down into that first corner. Just sitting on board here with a 12th place runner. This is one of the MGC drivers looking for a gap and a way through. Didn't manage to find it. A little bit of a crash there with Hydra and Mango getting caught up at T1. That was in 4th and 3rd, so right at the front of the field. Lots and lots of taps, but happy to say that in a race where we so expect to see cars blocking each other, getting really sort of race-ending crashes, everyone did make it through okay.
Yeah, everybody managed to recover, which is the good news. Wow, that was a dive straight into the wall that Commando was shoved into by Mango, it looked like, but now we're back on board with Chasmo, who once again has to worry about South as they come into the braking zone for turn 9. The aquarium, by the way, is just off to your right at that station of the track. So, yeah, big circular building with fish painted on it. Ali can't miss it. And then into this very tight final hairpin. It is the slowest turn on both the IndyCar and the IMSA calendars. and it really does feel like it takes forever to get around. See, there's the aquarium. See the little whales painted on the side of the building? That's the aquarium.
Okay, Jota right now, Jota South, maybe looking out toward the aquarium over the hood of RDE Chasmo's muscle car that he's been trying to pass for a few corners now. A couple of taps there on the exit to the straight. Well, I love to see sparks flying in the Forza Racing Championship, but surely there's space for 2 cars there. Chasmo, if you just leave a little bit more of a gap. Chasmo and South, though, will go wheel to wheel, toe to toe, once again through the first sector, and South up the inside. He's going to have the inside line here into the next corner, and I feel like he's going to make this move stick. Finally, he doesn't.
No.
Wow, Shay, what can South do here to get by?
Cars should not be side by side through that portion of the track. That should not happen. I mean, we've seen it before, but it should not happen. They're still side by side coming out and next to the shopping mall off to your left, where we do have Thunder Thursday. Bring out the race cars, put them on display, finally gets the pass done before coming onto the straight. But no, once again, they're door handle to door handle. Did somebody put magnets in these sides of these cars? This is ridiculous driving.
This has been one of the finest battles we've seen in the Forza Racing Championship Invitational Series so far. All these teams fighting their way towards a grand final where a prize pool of $250,000 will be on the line. Chasmo on the outside now. South covers the line and will take 7th place. He's going to make it look like the battle for the lead, though. I can't believe these two are in the mid-pack the way they're fighting.
The irony is, though, Ali, they're both driving Chevy Novas, which actually stopped selling for a while in certain countries because Nova in Spanish means no go, does not go. So these cars, which certainly do go, South and Chasmo proving just what fine driving looks like. I am beyond impressed.
All right, well, the battle for the lead has been on simmer for a little while. We're going to check in with it right now. Bokit previously lost the lead to Handicap. You're going to remember that pull that he got out of the last corner, and Handicap with the power of the boost sneaking up into first. Bokit, though, has been following along meanwhile, trying to get some good corners together, trying to get some sweet laps in the bank and close that gap up. For me, though, Shay, it looks like Handicap's going to run and run.
Yeah, we're only halfway through this race, but it does look like Handicap is pulling out a bigger gap. It's Jota Bokit. There's nothing he can do with no boost upgrade. He's really fighting this battle with one hand tied behind his back. Handicap with the huge advantage. 19 years old and from Brazil. His favorite track, this one right here.
Get out of here. So he's the one then. He's that one person on Forza who loves Long Beach that much.
Well, I love Long Beach too, even though I don't love going all the way across the country for a 100-minute race, but that's okay. Long Beach is just one of those places, it really gets to you. It's got such a great atmosphere. Jim McCallan, who's been organizing the Long Beach Grand Prix for more years than I can count, it's one of those events that always keeps you happy.
Now with Hydra. You're going to remember that Hydra had a little bit of a rough, tough race in the first race today. He got into the side of Jacob Bokit, the car up ahead, and got a penalty for it. Ultimately, that penalty didn't see Hydra lose out on the position after the race, though. He made enough time ahead of Bokit after giving him that smack to keep the second position. And well, we're about to see a repeat of that here on lap 6 of race number 2. Hydra closing up the gap to Bokit up ahead. While he closes this gap, and we'll keep monitoring that though, Commando in the wars in the mid-pack. We can jump on board with him right now as he chases down Mango in that incredibly powerful Mercury.
Gosh, and again, it's a situation of a team with no boost upgrade in Jota falling back behind teams with a lot of boost upgrades. And MGC Mango, he had all the advantages on his car before the day even began, and then getting an additional boost upgrade. But look at that, he's got a time penalty associated with his name, so Commando needs to just play this smart.
Just a half a second for Mango, and wow, that Mercury with all that power might be able to put a half second on Commando just in the distance between the final corner and that start-finish line. It's far enough up that straight, you never do know. So Commando may need to fight for track position here. It may not be a given that he'll manage to take that using the penalty. Let's watch right now as the two head up toward that start-finish. Mango on the power and checking out. Yeah, I get the feeling Commando's going to work for this one.
Yeah, he needs something to happen. He needs more from Mango, more of a screw-up to be able to get around that car. Because truth be told, Mango and that that car that he's in is just way too fast for Commando to be fighting a fair fight. Look at how much over the pit blend line, though, Commando's going. And I noticed that with Hydra. He was very close to being 4 wheels over. Now, the way that we are taught to respect that is it's a wall. The red line is a wall. Just pretend it's a wall. Don't get anywhere near it. Don't cross it. Don't touch it. Don't do anything. It's a wall. Clearly, these guys know it's not a wall.
It is. It certainly isn't. And I think before FRR came along, we had the racing line was much more where the wall is on the far side of the pits.
Where the actual wall is.
Where the actual wall is, exactly, all the way across the pit wall there. These days, the drivers need to respect that pit exit a little bit more using the FRR feature, so which tracks how far you are off of the track limits. We will check in, I think, just very briefly with FRF Tesla, who is running 12th position right now, and it's kind of deceptive because up the road you can see Commando, the car we were just on board with. Tesla actually being lapped right now by half of the pack, so a terrible race for Tesla, and I'm unsure exactly how this happened.
He must have pitted, Ali. He must have had to come into the pit lane to reset from damage of some sort, because there's no other explanation. It's just under a 2-mile circuit. You'd have to try really, really hard to be lapped in 8 circuits of this place. Actually 7. They're just completing their 7th lap right now. That's a terrible day for Tesla, but a great day for FRF.
Well, there is a storm brewing up ahead in this race, and that's between Hydra and Bokit. Hydra still running the half-second penalty that we saw previously. We do have a short replay of what went down in this battle earlier on. You can see we're on board here with Bokit, and Hydra caught up, had a look, and repeated exactly the same as race number 1, a dive into the rear of Bokit.
I've seen that happen at that corner too many times before, most recently by a driver by the name of Robert Alon and a Lexus. It wound up blocking the track and actually costing a car in a different category the win in their class. So that's, yeah, if he'd watched any real racing from Long Beach, you would know that that never works. Hydra, sorry bud, but no, you deserve that one.
You hate to see it. Hydra here chasing down Bokit, and hopefully he can be a little less clumsy on the old left foot.
No, that's just a driver being optimistic, overly optimistic. I can make a pass, I can go from 4th to 2nd in one turn, even though there's only one car sort of thing. So for Hydra, that was just trying to take advantage of an opportunity, but he didn't need to because he's got more straight line speed. He can make the pass on the straight, he just needs to get close enough to Hydra to be able to get that done, to Bokit, excuse me.
Well, for my money, Bokit's Mercury Coupe there's nothing wrong with its acceleration. There's nothing wrong with its pull off the line. It's just at top end when Hydra in the Plymouth Fury starts to really close them in.
The problem that they have is that Bokit has the most power of anybody in the class before you throw in the boost upgrades. He also was given the most PI from the team. So before we even turned a wheel, that car was the strongest of all the Jota cars. Now, Hydra, also strongest of the cars in the Plymouth Fury in terms of his team, but not with the most power of anybody overall. So he's got the boost upgrade, he's got something to help level the playing field, but you still have to get around Bokit, and he screws up! Hydra
into the wall, disaster for Hydra, such a popular driver and such a strong race. That's a great shame, Shay, to see it end with surely a clumsy moment. Just turning in just a fraction too early.
And that helped FRF, because now Fast Racers Forza 1st and 3rd. That'll be a great points haul for them. Still have to get around 2 laps though. They still have a little way to go as Hydra is dealing with serious crash damage, not back up to speed yet, fallen all the way down to 7th.
You can see that impact to the front of Hydra's car has caused severe engine damage. The engine in the front of the car, you can listen in actually. You can hear it cutting in and out that engine. It's absolutely destroyed the car. The transmission damaged as well. So this car is very much limping through this race. Commando, we're going to hop on board with for a second or two in 5th, is still in that battle with Mango. We were talking about this earlier. Mango with all the acceleration, able to pull away at the line, and see him just crossing up ahead there. One more lap remains here at Long Beach, and drama striking in the final act.
That's something that Hydra's going to be kicking himself for. Still just a young kid, 15 years old, lives in Ireland. He's known for strong pace. Consistency has been the question mark around his name so far in the Forza racing community, at least for 2019. He's been proving that that's not necessarily the case. But when you make a mistake like that, when the pressure's on, there's no excuse.
That's right. It's one of those unforced errors that you look for, and it's a shame from Hydra. This track, particularly punishing and particularly grueling for the drivers.
We go through more door mirrors at this track than any other given weekend in terms of street courses, and we also race at Belle Isle, so an IMSA competition, you can get a lot of fun debris to take home from Long Beach. It's very expensive.
All right, well, let's check in with FRF Handicap, who's just come around the final corner, is powering down, and is looking forward toward the line to take victory for the Fast Racers Forza team. They did so well strategically in race number 1 and paying dividends here in the second race with real points, a real victory, and a top of the podium for FRF.
Hashtag nailed it for Fast
Hashtag
Racers
nailed it.
Forza. They had the perfect day out at Long Beach, where the beach is just over those bleachers, just behind there. There's a marina too. We actually used to be on that booth right there off to the driver's left. That's where our booth was. When you would walk outside of the booth, you would look behind and see the harbor, see the beach, just get this lovely array of California weather. That's what FRF is enjoying today. They're enjoying the sunshine.
That's right, kicking back and working on his tan, I guess, now, Handicap. That's what he can do after putting in such a strong performance. I guess, though, it was all the work they did in race 1, which is paying off there in race 2.
Exactly. I mean, you look at, they had all 3 cars line astern that earned them 2 boost upgrades. They came into this one. They could give everybody a little piece of the cake. They played it fair, and guess what? They wound up with the first and the third, at least on the pavement. So that's a very good result for them. Going forward, we're looking at the next race, it's going to be another hard one for them, but now they stand a possibility of not only taking the attention away from Jota, taking those points away too.
That's right. Well, looking in my
booklet
here, we're off to Sebring, back to Florida for the final race, and this one completing a cycle of 3 races that I think has gone from sort of twistier tracks towards more straight line tracks.
Yeah.
And this one, very much this variant of Sebring, very much top end heavy.
It is. It's a very simple layout, and we will get there. When we get there, we have to get on a plane and fly from Long Beach out to Orlando and then drive down to Sebring, so there's a little bit of travel to do. But this is a track that should favor FRF and the display of performance we've seen, because they still have boost upgrades, and Jota, we don't know yet.
All right, well, there's a lot to unpack and a lot to look at after the second race of that second match of the day, and I can't wait to hear from our analysts.
Yeah, we're back over here with Long Beach, and I'd say Long Beach might be one of my favorite tracks, and I think Handicap probably is thinking right about the same thing right now.
Nope.
No, Hydra's got a very different opinion.
But Handicap,
right now, yeah.
But Handicap is probably thinking, all right, I like this place. I like the beach, I like the sand, I like those palm trees, I like everything about it.
And really the difference here between these, it is Mercury territory right now. Difference is that Handicap's got the boost, he's got the acceleration over Bokit. Bokit did really, really well to maintain that second place there, considering he's got no boost in him. But what a great play by these two, going through the technical part of the track, the Formula Drift part of the track as well. So quite narrow. These two guys going side by side. Great respect for each other. And I love the way that Bokit just doesn't crush Handicap into the wall. It's very easy to do, trying to get the power on the exit. And you could just see there, Handicap given all the space, and he gets around him going into the turn 1.
This is where you see the boost really stretch his legs, Handicap. He's got 549 PI. Compare that to Bokit. You see the difference? 523 PI.
And that's so hard to defend against. I mean, it was really, Bokit could do nothing in there. There's no defensive opportunity there for Bokit. Just got to let him go.
Yeah.
Handicap, fastest lap as well, 131.2.
That is quick. You know, one thing to note though is you're talking about the boost and you're talking about the PI, and you were mentioning, you know, Bokit was kind of running on pure performance.
Yeah, so yeah, like I said before, great credit to Bokit. He's running 13 PI in his car, so not the full 20. They split it between the two cars. He was running no boost, even though they got the great performance in race 1. They were the only team, I think, to come away with no boost there. So great performance by them. And then that casualty from RDE, Hydra, who is their main man, is just given like Jota a really good. You know, everyone's bumped up a spot. They've lost their star driver in that. They gave him the boost, they gave him all the PI, and I think that Tezza was able to unlap himself.
I don't know if you got that far ahead.
Oh,
but
come
provisional
on.
11
We'll break it all down. We're gonna break it all down here, but let's go back to Handicap, okay?
Yeah.
Handicap there taking the win provisionally, and how he had a solid performance. Whether again it was boost, whatever it was, he obviously was driving well, and that's something to note. for him altogether, and really helping FRF with this idea of the battle of the bubble.
So remember here, the gap that FRF I pointed out at the top of the show, they needed 48 points to catch THR. That's the team. They want to get the 7th spot. Handicap just got 28 or 20 points for the win there, doing his job. And I think this is his first win.
Yeah, this is his first win, but also they got 2 podium finishes in this race. Bull, who we haven't mentioned so far, obviously, is not on screen. He got the 3rd spot. That's 30 points. And their average in a match is usually 50. I think the max they've got is 60 points. That's nearly half in one race. That is an incredible amount of points there for them.
Yeah, and as we were saying, this does not include the last 2 races, those stats on that. But of course, then we have Boket, like we were talking about, who was running, you know, just with pure performance. And I think we're seeing different sides. These drivers are really coming to life and coming into their own. I think, especially as they're kind of trying to work together with their team and really show what they can do together. Yeah,
I mean, we talked about it. We touched upon it in my show. It's kind of like, you know, the surprise team for us have been FRF. You know, I feel that a lot of other teams have been assembled out of great talent, but there's just pure friendship in there. There's that kind of patriotism. You know, that they're all Brazilian. They were all band together. I feel they're very proud of themselves and are always cheerful, no matter how the outcome is. They always bounce back. They're always looking to bounce back.
Well, Boket obviously had a good run there, and we were seeing what he could do on a very different scale with Jota. We know that Jota today, they were trying to secure their 7th spot, and they were going to have to come out and really perform to do so, right?
Yeah, I mean, come into this race no boost.
No boosts. And to get 2nd place and to hold off Hydra, I mean, Hydra did it to himself, but to hold off Hydra and to make Hydra push, that's why Hydra crashed, is because Boket wasn't making any mistakes.
And that's why
to get 2nd place.
Well, that's why Boket is part of Jota as well. He's come up through the ranks. He competed last year. He was kind of semi-pro tier. He didn't make it to Mexico City. Very, very close. Didn't make it to the finals, and he's here. And I think that he's going to be a vital ingredient for Jota making that top 7 spot.
And looking at his past, how have you seen him grow?
Me and Boket have always gone wheel to wheel, being part of the community myself. It's kind of like running GT cars in Forza 6 and going through Forza 7. I kind of drifted off a lot, and he just put the time in. He put the time into it. He put the practice in, and you can really see it here. You know, when you look at Jota as a team, you think Commando's that top tier driver. And I'm honest, and I'm going to say this, even as Sean's friend, I think that he's not the top driver. I think that Boket is level pegging with Commando.
Boket was once on RZM.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I bet they wish they still had him.
Yeah, and we can't count out South either. South has done a great job. He won the first race, didn't do so well in this race, but this race was going to be decided about that first corner for me. It was, you know, either you were lucky or you were unlucky, and I think South had just caught, you know, bit the bullet there a little bit.
All right, it's time to talk about the little poll, and what you guys are talking about.
The little poll.
The little poll. We're talking about a whole nother poll. This is who's going to get that 7th spot.
Yeah.
And that is an important one to talk about as we're talking about Jota and what they're bringing to the table and what kind of competitors they are compared to the other couple of teams, knowing that it really is going to come down to the LCQ, which we'll see in week 7. But who's going to take that 7th spot?
Oh man, if I don't
Let us know in chat.
If I don't pick THR though, Tady's gonna be mad. So why don't you take that one?
Well, to be honest, going, you know, in lap 9 of that race, I thought RDE Raging Dragons were gonna have a really good chance of that.
It's that team.
Those points, it's gonna be FRF.
It's FRF.
It's FRF for me.
Done deal.
Yeah, FRF.
You guys in the community, let us know if you agree. Is it FRF 100%? Or perhaps is it going to be?
There's no agreement with this. It's just FRF.
Do you want a close up on you saying that again? Nobody can beat Red Bull.
Nobody can beat Red Bull. And
Everybody
FRF's
can beat Red
get
Bull.
that 7th spot. I got another one shot coming in soon, man. It's going to be great. I can't wait for it.
Ah, well, you and your sayings. Good thing that's why you have a show. That's
yeah,
exactly
he gets all
why
the
you have
one
a
shots
show.
he needs on Wednesdays.
Hey.
So let us know in chat again. That's the poll coming up next. Which team's going to get that 7th spot? I think it's going to be.
I think it's a close poll.
You think
it's going to be a close poll?
Yeah, it's going to be super close.
And of course, we did have the results of that last poll, and that is that Lamborghini was taking the lead. Shay and I will still continue to enjoy our love for Porsches, but I think you got to respect Lamborghini. I do respect it as a machine.
Yeah, I don't have I respect Porsche, but I love Lamborghini. That's as simple as that. And you agree?
V12s, Aventador SV.
If I couldn't,
Tá aí, galera, a tradução aí do RC aí do que comentaram sobre o handicap, né, cara? Tem dirigido competitivamente no Forza nos últimos 3 anos e também é dançarino habilidoso. Na próxima a gente vai colocar um videozinho do handicap dançando aí pra vocês verem. Realmente, moleque dança bem. Deve pesar aí uns 30 quilos no máximo aí, mas dança muito o handicap. Parabéns, handicap aí. Primeira vitória brasileira aí no ForzaRC. Entrou pra história. Merecido aí, handicap, devido ao seu esforço, aos seus treinos aí. Tamo junto. Merecido. Parabéns.
Really taking charge there and showing that you can do this.
Best result.
Best result.
For MGC so far. And you've got to think, looking at our RZM, their points, they got 27 in that match we just saw. Mango, MGC are already on the way there. They're 13 points. They've got one race. They've got to get another, 14 points?
O que ele dança mesmo assim, eu não sei, Ladão, mas ele dança aí. Ele tenta dançar uns pisais, sabe? Aqueles passinhos, tipo passinho do Romano, sabe? Aquelas danças estranhas.
He's got all the PI, and again, I like to say, he did his job. 4th provisional.
Absolutely did his job, and the team has to be proud of him, but he has to be proud of himself, and that has to give a little confidence boost to know that, like, you know, he's got this.
Mango smash.
Yeah.
So we should point out Jay Rich as well, their coach. He's making his debut. He's getting 8th spot. He's winning his. Well, he's kind of doing well in his group. He's got no PI.
9th provisionally, I believe.
Yeah, 9th provisionally. That's great for him.
Do you think Joda's moving up beyond 7th at this point? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Record high of points, perhaps. I'm seeing in chat there is a potential of that.
I think they're going to move back THR.
Oh, record for match results? No way. They'll pass THR. Absolutely.
Yeah, and they may pass Sauber.
Yeah, after Sauber's day. Yeah, that's true.
But that's as far as it's going to go.
Yeah.
Did you guys expect that these teams would be pulling in the ranks?
No, Joda should move up.
Yeah, so
this was a favorable matchup.
Yeah, what should happen and what actually happens are two different things. But you know, they should move up. If they don't, then you know, Joda's
Red Bull should have won.
No, they shouldn't have. No, Williams definitely deserved that. What a great.
That's the point, right? Anything can happen on any given day. You just
it was
never know.
8-ball corner pocket. I'm getting these.
All right. Let's go to the results. Let's go to the results of Long Beach and see how it kind of all shivvied out here.
Oh, Mango.
Mango still has fans out there.
Man, I thought he had provisional 4th.
Oh, look
Jay
at
Rich
that,
also DNF for Jay Rich. FYI.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, I think he did. I think he did really well. So great job for Jay Rich there for DNFing.
So I guess maybe I was wrong. Joda, 2nd, 4th, and 5th with that Mango penalty.
That's going to be huge for their points. You know, that was one of the key ingredients that we saw from Lazarus last week out when they, you know, they hit the PB of the kind of total point scores. They got that 2nd, 4th, and 5th, I think it was, or 1st. It was very close. They were all within the top 5, and that led to their success. Great job from here for Jota, considering they had no boosts.
There's a boost right there. Hard charger.
To Commando.
Well said there, Flippo. That was a very good transition, by the way.
South let Commando go. Maybe there was a communication there.
Definitely.
Because look, Bull had 4.
And Craviator would have.
South was in front.
But I have to say, though, the reason why he got that extra overtake is because Mango went down the pack, so maybe not.
Remember, guys, this is all playing to the bigger part of the match today, and it's all about those points.
Let's see those. Oh, I want to see it. 69. What a great place to be in. What an absolute storming place to be in. Come on. They've got a boost going into the last round. They're on 69 points. They're averaging more than 20 points per race. Maybe, actually, no, they're averaging over 30 points per race. If they keep on track like this, they could be hitting 100 points, which is what they need for their title success.
Yeah.
Handicaps, FRF has passed THR with 52 points, and they still got one race to go.
So big, well, that's great results because we want FRF to do well,
no.
don't we?
It's tough for me, but yes.
Again, that's for the community to decide in the poll who they won in that 7th spot. But we're going back to Florida now. Guys, we went back to Long Beach. It's time, Ali, Shay, to take us to Florida.
What? Back in Florida again? Let's go.
Yay.
I love a bit of Florida. And we're back home for you as well, Shay.
Yeah, this time just going up to Sebring, so just a little bit north of the Homestead Miami Speedway by about 3.5 hours, closer to Disney World and all that up at Sebring. And Sebring sort of is a Disney World for racing fans, at least, and for World War II fans.
And if we're looking both a bit dazed, Shay just drew a duck for us on here. And it took us both a while. We were both looking at it for a while. We're like, there's something weird about that duck. It had 4 legs. The 4-legged duck.
I'm not good at drawing, okay?
That was amazing. It was the best thing ever. Sebring.
Yes,
Let's
so
talk Sebring.
let's go to Sebring. This is the short course. It's only 2 miles long, 6 turns. We're going to be doing 11 laps around the concrete. This place, which opened in 1947 as a raceway, opened as an Air Force base in 1942. It was completed in the end of 1941. Hendricks Field, named after an American soldier who went down in an airplane actually fighting for the RAF. So a little bit of connection there for the two of us. But this place, which is a bomber field, it was where the B-17s used to train. Some of the best turns in terms of Sebring. You've got Sunset Bend, turn 17, as it is normally turn 6 on this configuration, and that turn 1. We'll never forget watching the LMP1 cars go through turn 1 flat, those Audis. It was something spectacular to behold.
Absolutely awesome, and all that concrete. You know, they say respect the bumps in their tweets and all this kind of stuff, and you really have to here at Sebring. We'll see the grid order in just a second as the drivers file their way onto that grid. For now, though, it's Shay, it's almost, you've got such a good depth of knowledge about Sebring, it's almost as if you've studied the place.
It's almost as if I've grown up going there. No, it's such a beautiful place, and Wayne Estes, the president of Sebring, has done such a wonderful job to maintain the track's integrity. A lot of people who are less educated about the history of Sebring call for a repave every single year, and you just sort of sit there and look at them mouth agape and go, you have no idea, do you? This place is magic, and there's a reason that the teams that go out and win the 24 Hours of Le Mans come and test at Sebring. A 12-hour race at Sebring is arguably more grueling than a 24-hour race anywhere else.
Absolutely unbelievable stuff, and here we go. Let's take out the grid as we line up for the final race of the day. It's going to be Bokit on pole position, South in 5th, and Commando 9th. And there's a whole lot of boosts to go around here.
Everybody gets a boost. So we saw it work out in the last race for FRF. Yep, do the money thing. I saw you doing that with one hand. Everybody at Jota with a boost. There's no reason why these 3 drivers should be anything but 1st, 2nd, and well, maybe 4th or 5th. I'm going to give them a little bit of credit before I say 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. But starting alongside them, FRF, and that's been the troublemaker for Jota.
Yeah, FRF, after a very strong finish at Long Beach, will be the 2nd seed here. Handicap, Bull, and Tesla all boosted up to their eyeballs, and will be out there on the track flying around with that extra horsepower.
Yeah, they don't need to save any ducks. They've brought them all to Sebring, as they did to Homestead. It's going to be a very interesting race with everybody in Jota starting alongside everybody in FRF. And they're on even playing grounds.
Raging Dragon Esports are the 3rd seed team, and that's Hydra, Chasmo, and Cami. Not so many boosts around here.
No.
At these parts.
No boosts to be found for Raging Dragons Esports, so they will find themselves going backwards at least a little bit in terms of the people in front of them won't be able to catch up. And then the problem, MGC. They've got a couple of boosts too.
Yep, last seed team, MGC, Mordor Gaming Club, looking to, well, get a silver lining here for what's been a little bit of a cloudy day. 12 points so far in 4th place of the teams. They feel that maybe they could have done better. Mango, though, has had a couple of spins.
Mango and Chic Pizza both running with the boosts means that they should be much stronger than J-Rich 921. But J-Rich and Raging Dragons, those should be the cars that finished 4th, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in terms of the last places, because they are going in innately the weakest cars in the field.
Well, there's been an awesome battle that's going to run today, and that's between Bokit and Handicap. These two finished 1 and 2 in race number 2, and we can take a moment now to compare their stats.
They're both 19 years old. Bokit, who's from Wales, versus Handicap, who is from Brazil. It's been a very good battle between the two of them, almost even on points, but in terms team contribution, Handicap has been the one that they've relied on more. Nearly 50% of the team's points coming from Handicap, whereas just over a third of the team's points coming from Bokit. I would say Bokit has stronger teammates to rely on than Handicap. At least that's what we've seen so far.
Well, that'll be a battle that we can monitor as we head toward that final race. It's going to be starting any second now. We'll be heading to Sebring. Whether or not Bokit can continue to push Handicap and can maybe even sneak on by, we'll have to wait and see. For now, we're on board with Tesla, who does have the benefit of a boost, excuse me, and is heading down towards T1. Chasmo with a bit of a drift initiation there around the outside. Going to make that stick. I love it.
Not of his own doing. He didn't want to go through turn 1 sideways, but alas, that's the way the cards fell. Now they're making the right-hand turn where normally you'd go left. As who's that well off the track? Is that Commando who's gone wide? And no, now there's contact as Tesla gets hit. It was Bokit who gets knocked back and is now alongside Commando. This is a terrible start for Joda, who was really hoping for a bounce back after all three of their cars running this with boost.
So Bokit files back in 7th position. It was a tumultuous start. We missed the incident for him, but it's writ large across the chrome bumper there on the rear of his car, all banged up, all wrecked, and it's yeah, we'll have to wait and see how that files out. We're hearing that Handicap and Bokit got together in that first lap, so it may well be that we'll see a penalty for that later. No shortage of power though in this Mercury.
That was a battle for the lead, so I can understand a bit more contact, at least in terms of that, as everybody trying to get through 17 in a clean manner. And Hydra diving down the inside of Bokit. That's a bold move. Hydra with a little bit extra power, at least off the corner, but not with the boost upgrade. He's gonna fall back now.
We saw 3 wide per second for a moment there, but as we jump up 1 space forward to south and Bokit gets up our inside, there is a very big difference in top end between these 3 cars. Mango still with the benefit of that boost, still with a very, very fast Mercury. It's not going to be fast enough though. You can see Bull and Bokit both hang with him. And Mango very slow through the corners.
Yeah, Mango, who's got the advantage of all the hopes and dreams of his team. They put all of their investments toward him before the races began, and it appears that even that with the boost upgrade isn't enough to try and catch up with Joda Bokit and FRF Bull.
Well, as we ride along here with FRF Bull in 2nd place, we can take a moment to note that Jota's loss has very much been FRF's gain. Handicap took the lead of this race at the start, perhaps with a dubious pass. We'll have to wait and see how that cooks up later. And Bull adopted the 2nd place as well. Bokit's going to take it back, say, all right, I'm coming through, thank you very much. And, well, not very much that Bull can do against that move. And now, Shay, as we run through the next 9 laps, I'm going to be fascinated to see whether Bokit can bridge that gap to Handicap in the lead.
He's driving like a man on a mission right now as Bokit. He's clearly upset with the way that things have been dished out, not only at Long Beach, but also starting off at Road America. It's been a bit difficult for Bokit ever since then. Coming into Sebring, you thought there would be a bit of redemption for Bokit, but not yet. The 19-year-old up-and-comer. He's an econ major in university, and somebody you know well. You brought him in. You indoctrinated him to this culture, Ali. It's your fault.
I don't know if I could take credit for that. But certainly we've raced together for a long time. It's great. Yeah, I mean, as Mesh was saying earlier on, Bokit's somebody who, over the change from FM6 to FM7, really did put the hours in, put the sweat in, and it's paying dividends now here at the Forza Racing Championship Invitational Series. Running on board now with FRF Tesla in 5th place, who's closing the gap to Commando and breathing down his neck. Commando, Shay, he's had a day that's been all over the map. Some very, very bright moments, some amazing moments. I'm thinking of the last few laps of Road America especially, but also some frustrating times.
Yeah, when he passed 2 cars in 1 turn.
That's right.
That was fine. He was also a part of a panini, remember? That was at Long Beach, so it's been an interesting day for Commando. But just taking into consideration for a minute the battle for the lead, we've got FRF Handicap with 7 more PI points than the guy chasing him in Bokit. So that's going to be a very much an uphill battle, which is ironic because we're at Sebring where it's all flat ground. That's how Florida is made. No plate tectonics there, nothing, no elevation until you get north of Orlando, which is well north of where we are here. There's one hill north of Winter Haven that sort of marks the first hill of Florida.
Okay.
That's about 150 miles north of where these guys are driving right now.
The Winter Haven hillock. Look out for it on the horizon here at Sebring.
Floridians know it's on the turnpike, and it's the first uphill, and then you crest it and come down and see all this land out in front of you and go, wow. It really is a moment. You're laughing at me, Ali.
I am laughing at you.
When you drive there, you'll see it.
I'm laughing with you, Shay.
Yeah,
2nd place,
You're laughing
Bokit.
with my duck, right?
On board with Bokit, who's powering down. You're saying that that Handicap has a bit more PI, a bit more investment in his car.
Yes. Handicap, who comes into this race in the Mercury, he was the strongest of the FRF team. They invested all of what they had towards him, as opposed to Bokit, who's got most of what the Jota Sport team has, but he has the most power of anybody else on the grid, does Bokit. So Bokit, even though he doesn't have as much PI, he does have the boost, and he does have more power.
Power.
And ask Mellish, more power is good.
It's spelled M-O-A-R.
Yes.
We're on board here. We can jump back, I think, to Commando. There is a battle brewing behind him as well, with South sneaking on past Hydra. So South and Hydra, just behind this battle, are also looking hot. We've got fights up and down this field.
Hang on a second, FRF is first, third, and fourth right now.
Wow.
That is a serious points haul if it was to stay in that way.
So Bokit, really the only thorn in FRF's side here of a podium 1, 2, 3. A feat that I don't think we've seen yet in the Forza Racing Championship.
No, we certainly haven't in the weeks that I've been here, and we didn't last week either because I watched the show back, so that would be something spectacular. And genuinely, I don't think any of us expected FRF to be the first team to accomplish that.
No, quite right, and it's been a really fascinating run from FRF this week, but Jota as well, who we're looking at right now. Maybe, do I dare say it, Shay? Do I dare say Jota underperforming here?
No, you don't dare say it. I'll say it, though. Jota are definitely underperforming. When we looked at the lineup for this week, every single one of us thought, oh, well, this is Jota's opportunity to do what we've seen Lazarus do, to see what Red Bull have done, what Williams has done, get as many points as humanly possible. That's not what they've done. They have not won a race. I mean, they won the first race, but then they didn't win the second, which is unthinkable when you're considering a powerhouse team pretty much guaranteed to be in the finals. And then you're looking at 3 other teams that are going to be fighting to try and get into the top 8.
I think that's been a little bit of the shade of Jota's season so far. It's
Very
been
much so.
a team who'd promised a huge amount on paper, but just haven't been able to translate it in points.
Yeah, their Jota Sport as a whole, in terms of racing in the World Endurance Championship, is a team I've known well for a long time. They've been known as the underdogs before in the past. They drove the mighty 38 to a Le Mans victory back in 2014 with Harry Tinknell and Ollie Turvey, who subbed in at the last minute. It was a spectacular come-from-behind sort of win. I was expecting to see them, come out a little bit stronger than they have. And quite frankly, I'm surprised by the lack of dominance that we've seen from these guys.
That's right. Well, you're doing something right at least when you're getting criticism for not getting 1, 2, 3 finishes.
Yeah.
So Jota can take that with them at least. FRF, though, with a surprise, strong performance here. I will say, not a surprise to everyone. I did see a good tweet before this event from LZR Diablo, manager of the LZR team, who was saying, you know what, FRF are all over the lower class leaderboards.
Yep.
These guys are hot out there, and I'm expecting to see them do big things. And I mean, you know what, Diablo, you called it, and here it is on the track.
Yeah, Simon Dolan was the other driver at Le Mans, by the way, I just remembered. No, it's completely spot on. They called us out for not believing in them in their first week when they came through and proved to be a very tough contender, but we didn't expect them to be doing a performance like this because this is almost Red Bull-esque. This sort of driving is the type of things we expect from the teams with the best drivers, not the teams with drivers who are 23rd, 31st, and 38th last year in the global standings.
Right. That's it. It does all come down to you can strategize. You can strategize yourself until your cheeks go blue, but if you can't win your one-on-ones, if you can't get out there on track and beat people just wheel to wheel, then you're out of luck. And wow, FRF, shutting our mouths here and beating a whole load of different drivers out there on track. So very impressive.
Yeah.
We're continuing to run with Commando here, and on lap 7 of 11 of the final race here of the second match of the day. It's the run towards the LAN final that we're tracking right now. Only a few weeks remain until all of these teams head toward that offline event, and we see them battle it out for $250,000 worth of prizes. It's going to be an absolutely awesome event, Shay.
And breaking news just coming through, Ali Handicap will not receive a penalty for the contact with Bokit on the first lap. Handicap was hit by Mango, who then hit Bokit. So being a domino does not result in a penalty. So Handicap, with that lead, that is real.
Well, Handicap will be leaning back in his Mercury coupe and touching his fingers together and saying, "Wow, the perfect crime." He got away with it, did Handicap, at the start of this race, and well, looks like he's going to be able to hold this lead as well. We'd say when Bokit tucked through into second that we thought we'd be able to close that gap, but with just 2 and a bit rotations left of this circuit, I get the feeling that Bokit is not going to be able to get in there, is not going to be able to threaten Handicap before the end of this race.
No, and honestly, Ali, Handicap doesn't look like he's leaning back. It still looks like he's up on the wheel. That classic old hot rod as he comes through to complete lap number 8 and begin what is our 3rd to last lap.
Here we go, so we can hop back to Commando and check in on that battle. It's one of the closest ones we got out there on track right now is Commando chasing down FRF Tesla, who you can see getting a little bit wobbly on the power on the exit to T17. That's a very tricky corner, Shay, and lots of bumps out there.
Yeah, and a lot of ways to get it wrong through there. If you hit any number of the bumps at just the wrong angle with maybe one of your 4 tires, you'll find the car pointing in the wrong direction. Turn 17 known as Sunset Bend because when the sun is setting, you can't see a darn thing. And that really is the truth. Even some drivers known for holding their hand up to try and block some of the glare from the sun. They don't have to worry about that today, though, as it looks like the sun is still in about 9 to 10 a.m. range for today's race. Drivers really lucking out with that one as Tesla trying still to hold off Commando. I heard Mellish call out Commando in that in-between time. And I'm pretty sure the Commando could just squash Mellish with one gentle little bear hug. Very strong driver.
Something else that could squash us all is the sound of these awesome V8s as they head around the track. So let's listen in on Tesla's engine poking half out the bonnet. Week 5 of the Forza Racing Championship Invitational Series. Just 2 more rounds of the online series remain, and that's all that separates us from an awesome offline event to cap off this brilliant season. Huge prizes on the line there, as we've mentioned earlier on, and Jota continue to chase FRF on track. They continue to try and hold back that flood of points that FRF is surely going to get here. I will say, Shay, looking forward, Tesla has had that half-second penalty for a little while now, and I'm starting to wonder whether Commando's close enough that he doesn't need to make this move.
No, he needs to make the move. It's Camaro on Camaro right now for this battle. 1969 Chevy SS. It's a 6.5-liter V8, normally aspirated engine. Normally, that's the stock version, 375 horsepower. Front engine, rear-wheel drive, the Chevy SS, which ran in Trans Am. Did the Camaro, got a lot of laps around Sebring.
Oh no! A touch of brakes there from Commando on the way onto the straight. I thought it was to stop himself getting a penalty for running a little wide on the curb, but I wonder now whether it was to allow Jota south through. A little bit of synchronized swimming here from the Jota team, and nicely done from the two of them. Not a lot of time lost. 1 lap remaining, and South maybe looking for a way past Tesla up ahead. That final lap. Still leading the way is FRF Handicap, who's done a great job so far. This is just the smallest track of the variants here. It's at Sebring, and it's a very, very fast track indeed. One that really suits the big engines, the big high displacement engines of these V8s, these muscle cars and hot rods that we've been seeing racing all day. Handicap will rear that engine up, get that pedal to the metal and floor it down that back straight, and he'll be hoping and expecting that checkered flag and that big 20 points for FRF. What a run from Handicap today.
Yeah, but you still got to get through that final turn, and it is the hardest one around Sebring, so it's not a done deal. Look at him drifting sideways through, and now look at him way out wide, avoiding the bump right at the apex, coming underneath the bridge. Just seeing the checkered flag straight ahead and knowing all the work is done.
Handicap will take the win in the final race of the day. Second place is Jota Bokit with FRF Bull and FRF Tesla, making it 1, 3, 4 for FRF. An incredible performance, and I think matching the best that we've seen on a single race at least from any team in the Invitational Series.
Yeah, that was a crazy good display from FRF, the little team that could. I think they're almost the Thomas the Train Engine for us, at least blowing us away with what they've done today. The first week, they surprised us. Today,
Right.
they awed us.
That was an absolutely brilliant performance. And, once, looking back to the end of the first match where we had that surprise moment when Williams pipped the top of the leaderboard there.
Yep.
I am so curious with how this is going to work out once the provisional results are all filtered through and all the adjudications done. For now, though, Shay, looking at that race, I mean, I was going to say discounting FRF, but maybe counting them as well. What was your standout import performance?
Ooh. FRF was great throughout the entire contest. Mango in the last race was pretty good. We didn't talk very much about him, but the fact that he had all that pressure on him, the fact that, he did perform better than expected, they're going to walk away. MGC, this is pretty much the last hurrah in terms of them because they haven't accrued as many points as they need to. But it could have been a situation where they walked out of here with 9 points total, 3 per race. Mango saved that. They were at 12 points coming into this race. I wouldn't be surprised to see them finish this out with about 20 points. And I know in the grand scheme of things, that's not a great thing. But for the expectation level that was set for MGC, it's a much better day.
Well, I mean, let's linger on MGC for a second or two then, because we will see them one more time in this championship, but it's going to be in a very tough matchup for them.
It is, and hopefully we'll see Meow back with them for that race. They did have a coach filling in this weekend with J-Rich921, who did a good job. Long Beach was the anomaly. That was pretty much a DNF for him in terms of that. But you come into this situation, and not everybody is an Essex. Not everybody can be dropped into this and just go well. So it's been a tough week for them as a whole. Mango, I think, really turned a corner today, though.
And what a surprise Mango's been throughout the series. I mean, for me, especially, like, a driver who I almost didn't expect anything from. And he's been out there. We've had some great moments throughout the series with Mango up there. And today, as well, was no different. He did some strong performances.
Yeah, he also made a couple of big mistakes. I mean, thinking about turn one at Sebring.
That's fair.
Knocking into the first-place car, which knocked out the second-place car, and then he himself went backwards. So wasn't perfect. Lap 1 at Road America, same thing. Went well off at Canada Corner, but managing to recover, managing to mentally get around all that to keep racing, because guess what? The race isn't over after the first turn. That's been impressive.
What are your final thoughts, Shay, coming out of this muscle car week and looking forward in the competition towards weeks 6 and 7?
Muscle cars, it's all it quacked up to be. And now I've broken you. Success! So I will throw it over to the analyst desk. Then, guys, take it away while Ali tries to get
Ali, ducks are my spirit animal, so I've been like all about this duck thing all day long. I'm not entirely sure. But thank you, Shay, for that. We will pick it up from there. That race, FRF, my goodness, on chat, guys, it is super cool to see the support that FRF is getting. You have everything from Force One, Roadrunner Rosso, Zoom popping in saying, let's go, boys, FRF for the win. I mean, how impressed are you?
I think they did it.
Yeah.
I think that provisionally first, third, and fourth. And it wasn't a big gap to Jota. I didn't think they had a chance to come into this, but they may have done it.
I just want to touch on the fact that that is, in essence, what the Forza community is all about. It's like, yeah, you're battling against other teams, but when you recognize it, when you have a good performance, regardless, it is recognized and it reverberates throughout the whole community. So it's really nice to see, people getting behind them from other teams, and they deserve it too because they do have the weight of LATAM on their shoulders. I know Zoom is in Zauber, but FRF, they're the bulk of it. They're the whole representation. And that, for me, it strikes a chord, I think.
FRF just taking off.
Yeah.
Getting faster each week.
Now, how does this play into your guys' thought that they would be taking the 7th spot, which you were pretty adamant about?
Plays pretty well.
Yeah. I mean, they've taken control of that spot, and they may have even gone even higher. But certainly, I still think they may have outscored Jota. We could get 2 surprise finishes here.
I mean, this was a great performance. For me, it was a battle of the boost. I know these cars are very boost orientated, but it was a battle of the boost because all 3 drivers from each team had a boost.
I think it's important to note the man that was on a mission there, though, throughout that entire race was Boket, and we saw him. Yeah. He took off, and I think all of us had questioned what happened there at the beginning with handicap, and now we found out with Mango as well.
This is Boket. You see, it looks like handicap punts him, but that's not the entire story. There was another driver there. That's the MGC driver, Mango. So Boket falls all the way down the back of this field. I think we'll get another look at this incident. Is it an incident? I don't know. I mean, certainly handicap's free and clear in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's a concertina effect for me. But it was just the way that Bo-Kit recovered. Like, you know, Commando's not going to get in the way of his teammate. Look at the power of that Mercury. You know, he swallows up Hydra. He swallows up Hydra before the last. It was so
cool watching. Yeah.
It was so nice to see this. The cards are balanced. I promise.
Literally, you and I the whole time were watching this. We were like, what? What? He's just going. I mean, that was cool.
Yeah, and what really helped Bo-Kit here was the fact that Mango is scrapping for his life. He's clutching onto that second spot. He doesn't manage to hold it, but this helps Bo-Kit in the end.
You know, this was maybe the choice of never upgrading the brakes for Mango was the one that did him in ultimately.
And investing in race oil and cooling, which I will touch on in a little bit because we need to get this straightened out.
Yeah, we all know race oil and cooling. You just don't do it, right?
Yeah, exactly. But like here, he managed to get past Bull, but the gap between him and Handicap is so big that he's just never going to catch up. He doesn't actually make any distance. Handicap won the fastest lap in the race, and he just increased that distance from 5 seconds to so on. Really, it's really good.
Handicap 120.6 in lap 4.
Yeah, and for me as well.
Oh, so this is the handicap. So you can clearly see Mango hits Handicap, Handicap hits Bo-Kit. Bo-Kit's the loser there, but Handicap's free. In my opinion, that is not a penalty on Handicap. Maybe Mango.
No, and I agree with you completely. Like, Handicap is scot-free. He feels bad because he's involved in an incident. I think that Bo-Kit came into this race on the defensive. He's 7 PI less than what Handicap has got in his coupe when you take away the boost. So there was a lack of performance there for Jota, and it was going to be a defensive run for the entire time. But then it completely dissipated immediately once the incident happened.
You know, and I think another guy that we didn't talk about as much in that race was Commando, but he did just pop in on chat and say, you know, good racing, guys. And I think that really is interesting to see the sportsmanship, not only from the community like you were saying, Mellish, and people kind of joining in as competitors, but him coming on and realizing, hey, that was some good, solid racing.
I don't think they expected they'd have this big of a fight on their hands.
Oh, no, they definitely did. Like, when talking to Jota, they knew going into this round that it was going to be them against FRF. When they came to quali, they were panicking because FRF were out-qualifying them.
Well, it's time to take a look at those race results as we know it here. And I think I think there's a couple of people, we know what provisionally happened, but...
Mango, 3-second penalty.
Mango.
So there you see it. That's got to be the incident on turn number 2, I guess that is.
Yeah.
So he drops down the field. But FRF, a first, a third, and a fifth.
I love that.
Is that enough?
This is really close. Like, we predicted Red Bull would win the match earlier on. And now I don't want to make a prediction because...
No, make a prediction. Make a prediction. Do it. What do you think? What do you think?
I want it to be
quickly
FRF so badly just because that was a great final result. RDE dropped off the map.
Okay, flip mode. Pick.
It's FRF. If I have to pick a team, I think they actually did it. I think they actually did it.
All right, let's see those match results.
Here we go.
Flip mode's wrong again.
We're both wrong. We're both wrong and it's fine. I'll take the bullet on this one. But look at that, 100 points from Jota. That's what they should be hitting. That is where their individual pace and their teamwork gets them. It's 100 points. They're going to be super happy with that. I think they maybe expected more in that last race, but 100 points, they should be happy.
Well, as we know, this is match 3 of round 3. We're in week 5, and we're all making our way towards the end of the season here. How does this all match up?
Oh, look at that, how close that's just got. There was a big gap at the top there.
Look what FRF did, though. They didn't win the match today, but they scored a ton of points. The gap, 197 to 153 to THR. Is our LCQ, our last chance qualifier, are you looking at it? Is that it?
I mean, look at the points difference. We do have to take in mind that the teams have a drop round. If you don't know what that is, they get to take away their lowest score from all their matches, and obviously that will play into effect. But Jota, top 4.
This is 3 full rounds. We only have 1 more round to go. And remember what we had said about Jota, where they were meant to be. They've jumped up to 4th now, right? So, like, that idea, that's where they should be.
Yeah.
And that was where you guys had expected them to be.
Yeah, I said top 5. They should be in the top 5. This is a great result for them. They've still got like an 18-point. There's an 18-point margin to Lazarus, but I think they've got a really stacked lobby next week, and I think they're visiting RBR again.
Red Bull loses a match. They're still in first. 6 points over Williams.
And looking forward as well, we should take into note that Lage will not be competing next time either. It's going to be ASICS again, and if that's the key ingredient, then they haven't got it. But you know, are they still going to stack everything in box? It's looking forward now for me. Predictions.
Well, it's time to talk to Coach from FRF. I think this is a really important thing to note because a lot of people within the community are talking, hey, how you doing? So, like, what's going on?
I'm doing really good, especially with the results we got today. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy.
You feel confident with what you guys put out today?
Can you repeat?
Do you feel, how confident are you in the team after the results today?
Yeah, we are pretty satisfied with the results from today. Of course, we could win if they don't hit Tesla in the second race. So, but that doesn't. Well, we are aiming for 80 points this week, so 92 is really good.
I would absolutely say that. What was the goal besides the points? What was your goal coming into today's match?
I try to bring a fight to Jota. I think that's it. We don't have the best players in the lobby, so we try to get as much as possible in car builds or teamwork. So in the first race, we came with a strategy to get more boosts as we can. So I think that worked for us.
Yeah, I would say a whole lot of your strategy came into play here, and the community was completely backing you guys. It was really cool to see the support for Tesla, for Bull, and of course for Handicap. Congrats to Handicap on both of his wins today. That's got to feel good as we are heading into the next week.
Yeah.
Anything surprise you in that conversation?
He said he didn't have the best drivers.
I was going to say, like...
I disagree.
If you look at the Forza leaderboards and you maybe go down towards the C, the D class, the lower class cars, FRF are up there. And they're up there in the high class cars too. So, you know, I think maybe he's selling his team short, and he shouldn't do that. They definitely brought the fight to Jota Esports.
Handicap made FRC events last year. Yeah. So did Tesla.
So did Bull.
So did Bull.
Yeah. They got a great lineup, and he should give his team more credit than he's saying, really.
Well, and of course that the expectations they had set for themselves with the points, they obviously exceeded that, you know, by a lot. But the format here, as we continue on for the rest of the season here, let's just a quick reminder as to what really this season is all about, these points, and where we stand now. As you can see, we're in week 5, that October 19th. We just finished match 2 and 3 of round 3. Moving on to week 6 and to week, we have rounds 4 and that will be playing there within those matches. Yeah. And then of course, the round 4 in week 7. Of course, this all leads us to that LCQ, which 4 of those teams will be in, and then to the LANs, which is November 23rd and 24th.
I mean, those are some stacked lobbies there. I mean, AMS, THR, Sauber, Jota, Sauber and Jota going at it. And then you've got FRF, Williams, RD, and RZM. So, you know, is it going to be a Williams and FRF battle there? That's going to be the decider for me.
Interesting. I wouldn't think that would be, but that you're right. Next week's matchup,
yeah,
round 4, FRF, Williams, RD, RZM. That's another huge lobby.
Yeah.
But THR, I mean, can they catch FRF? I don't know that they can.
No,
they're gonna. It's their last chance. Is next Saturday.
Yeah, they've really, you know, they kind of come through the ranks. They've improved as they've gone on, but there's only one more chance left, and then we got to take the drop round into consideration. But THR,
that's true. I always forget the
drop. Of course, make sure to join us for week 6, rounds 4. That's going to be match 1 and match 2. And in the meantime, if you haven't gotten sick of Melish's voice yet and his insights,
definitely have.
Go ahead and join us for the ForzaRC Inside Line. Someone on chat said that photo right there should be on people's shirts. So I would purchase one and have your face on my shirt.
I think it's more of like a mugshot, like, you know, on a mug. Like that. I think that's definitely what it's like.